No, no more! That's it! I don't care! I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about being better than Kakarot. I didn't care about being a Super Saiyan. I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care about anything. And then it happened.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ANSC here, back with Shun for another week of the KCM. We got Paralyze here versus Soulkey for game number 1 on Vermeer. Let's get it started.
Alright,
I will bring up our lineup for this week because it is pretty interesting. We've got Paralyze here and Saber as well. You're just telling me a bit about Saber. Can you tell it to the audience as well, please, Shun?
Yeah, so Saber actually won the Courage tournament back in 2006, which was basically the tournament you had to win to get a pro gaming license. So he's actually way back from, or way back in the day. However, he's never really quite been at like the higher echelon level. So he's been a bit of a B-teamer for Hwas in Oz, and he's managed to take games off quite a few pro gamers back in the day. Like he's been taking games off of Killer and Best and all kinds of people from like 2014 and throughout the years. So definitely a very strong player, is Saber. But yeah, I'm not sure he's quite on the level of some of these others, but definitely a strong contender.
Same, I think, goes for Paralyze. He was in 2010, 2011 OSL. Didn't place really high in that, but you know, a strong contender there. Coming back now and getting thrown into the lineup here for KCM. So he's got to be showing something to these other pros that is making them take notice, and getting himself an invite here means that he's been doing well. We'll see if he's able to bring some good games here today against Soulkey, who spawned in the top right. Soulkey was my favorite Zerg player for a really long time.
He's a very strong macro Zerg. I used to love watching his games back in the day. I used to like wince in pain every time I saw him losing like drones to vultures, like Fantasy's vultures in particular. Yeah, I used to really like watching Soulkey play as well, so definitely on the same boat with that one, Sam.
Yeah, he was a Starcraft 2 player for quite a while as well, but did make the transition back to Starcraft 1, which is what I hope a lot of pro players are going to end up doing in the future. And we'll get some more of those Starcraft 2 pros winning big tournaments and doing well and gaining fans here in the Broodwar community.
Yeah, I'll love to see it. It looks like we're going to see a Gateway expand build coming out of Paralyze against the very safe and tried and true overpull from Soulkey. Going to try and delay that Zealot just a little bit, but didn't want to stick around for too long to take any unnecessary damage. Going to be confirming that there's no Forge or Nexus being thrown down just yet, so he knows it's probably going to be a Nexus follow-up behind this Gateway. Needs to make sure he doesn't lose oh my bad, sorry, he did 11 hatch, not overpull, so he is actually going to have to be careful and not lose any of these drones early on against this Zealot, because losing just a single drone will put him at an economic disadvantage. Would have been better off going for overpull or something if he does lose a drone, so he wants to be careful not to lose out on too much mining time or drone HP.
He shouldn't end up losing a drone here with the 6 links popping out right as the Zealot arrives. Just gonna make sure that he can get some lings behind this these mineral patches here, just to make sure that we don't get optimal surface area for Paralyze. Actually pretty darn good hold so far. Paralyze doing his best to try and jump on top of those lings with the probe, try to interrupt their attacks, but Soulkey just powers right through that Zealot, and now he's on the aggressive here, and you can actually deal some significant damage on the side of Paralyze if he's not careful. He's waiting for that third Zealot to pop out. 2 are in the wall. They have to stay there, and that will allow Soulkey to deal a little damage to this Gateway. Maybe pick that off if his control is good enough. Maybe run by into the main otherwise.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Soulkey wants to commit lings to this. He is starting to mine his gas already. I don't think he necessarily will commit to this. I think he's just going to put a little bit of pressure on at the front, maybe just just harass Paralyze a little bit, and we'll meanwhile be teching, it seems. Yes, going to be throwing down that lair straight away. I think this is a good choice from Soulkey. Definitely suits his playstyle more as well, rather than trying to commit to something he doesn't necessarily want to have to do.
Sure, and he's going to prioritize tracking down this probe and getting rid of it as quickly as possible. He wants to hide his tech path here, make sure that, you know, keeping Paralyzed in the dark a little bit, making sure that he's not 100% certain as to where he is and what he needs to defend. Few zealots heading out on the map now. Soulkey needs to produce another round of lings here in a moment to pick these off, but it looks like Paralyze just going to park here out of range of those overlords and then send everything back home as soon as he feels that Soulkey has built those lings.
Yeah, this is a very good technique. You see Terran players do the exact same thing, kind of just like park their Marines halfway and then turn back around and just to kind of try and force an overreaction out of the Zerg, like waste a few lava, waste a few minerals on something you don't quite want, and try and cripple the economy at least a little bit. And a Zealot on the third base location might get some damage done, at least going to be forcing those drones off the line and minimizing the mineral efficiency of Soulkey, and then hiding the Zealot behind. There's a great little spot to hide the Zealot behind there. Only one link can attack the Zealot at a time. Really, really cost inefficient to kill that Zealot.
Yeah, cost inefficient to kill that, but in a way you kind of do have to get rid of that, or perhaps set up a little wall with the lings to make sure that the Zealot can't get any damage, because he will hop out and start to hit any of these drones as soon as action happens on the map. That's the perfect time to go to work on this drone line. It's like Soulkey just leaving about 4 lings in that third base. Hopefully that's enough to deny any further kills here. It's already got 2 kills on this. That's 2 of those lings, but you'd love to get a drone right now. That would be premium.
Oh, he gets a drone! This is a huge pick-off to get a drone at this stage in the game. Any damage is good damage, and the fact that Soulkey still needs to keep these links here and still be on top of checking this intermittently is really annoying for him. A pro gamer of his level will be able to keep up with the mechanics required to do that, but it is really annoying to have to do that while you're trying to macro and making sure everything is on time. So really annoying. And Zealot going to come out yet again and take another swipe at the drone before pulling back in. Soulkey does ideally need to just put these lings on a hold position, tight concave wall between the mineral and gas to prevent the Zealot from being able to come out and get the hits on the drone like that. But he's also going to pick off the Overlord, so... And another drone! Okay, this is starting to be a bit of an issue for Soulkey. He's already taken a little bit of damage here and has also been losing overlords and gets another one. This is crazy play from Paralyze, really starting to show his caliber in this game thus far. Also, Zealot's starting to do that on the map, while he's also denying these overlords from the division. Oh, Parascourge are going to come in and get Corsair though, so that's actually a little bit of a devastating blow. Another Parascourge moving into intercept. Needs to be careful not to lose his Corsair as well.
Yeah, that was a really cute little location for the Zealot. You can see that he moved out with those early Zealots and then decided, I'm going to send just the one over towards that third base into that gas geyser location to get as much damage as I can. Now coming forward with a big group of Zealots here, but pretty good Sim City so far, and the mutas are out. I think targeting down drones probably going to be the play here. He's starting to hit this sunken colony. It's getting a little bit low, but these Zealots are starting to dry up. There's only 3 of them left. Actually 4, excuse me, but they will die very quickly now. And the one pick off there on that drone, not really going to even out what's been lost here for Paralyze. About 8 Zealots going down pretty much for free, denying some mining time, killing 1 sunken, killing a few lings, but other than that, I think Soulkey comes out on top on that trade.
Yeah, he had basically the bare minimal that he needed to not take too much damage, and he did a little bit of drone drilling, and as soon as the drones became targeted, he then just evacuated the drones, so did take minimal damage there, and being able to get away with just getting 1 sunken as well is really cost efficient for him to do that. So right now Soulkey's looking really good, going into 6-hatch Hydra production soon, and has a nice little fleet of Scourge to counteract the Corsair fleet once they try to engage.
Looks like 1 more drone gonna go down here, but the Zealots will all be picked off. We have quite a few Corsairs out here, so it is a threat right now. Do we have +1 armor? Not yet for Soulkey, but that is a possible play from him. Getting that +1 armor really helps Scourge to connect when they're in those large groups. Still producing Corsair here, so Paralyze taking the air threat very, very seriously. Might want to combo an attack here with some DTs, Zealots, and Corsair. Try to get damage on that third.
Oh, definitely. And there's always that chance of the Ogre Zerg coming out from Soulkey at a moment's notice, so does need to respect that and get up to a fairly respectable Corsair count with upgrades, because it looks like Soulkey now wants to pull the trigger as well and start zoning out these Corsairs with the Scourge while the Mutas dive into the main base and maybe even snipe up a High Templar or two. He is High Templar and does get it for his trouble, just enough meters to snipe that High Templar, needing 9 to get the one-shot. Scourge zoning out the Corsair in the natural, while the Mutas go to town in the main base, swiping out some cannon kills and some probes for their efforts. And now Soulkey looking like he's ready to pounce on these Corsairs if they try to rescue this main base. And so far, continuously losing more and more probes is Paralyze, and Soulkey starting to run away with this game just a little bit, taking a nice little advantage here, and maybe even just going to retreat and not really lose anything for his trouble.
No opportunity for a counterattack here from Paralyze. He's going to bring up a High Templar to the main, so if those Mutas want to try and dive in again before the cannons are remade, he could get a really decent storm on this. He's actually got 2 Templar here, so he's got to get a good storm. Where is it? Not yet. Gonna hold off on that for now. There we go. Gets a great storm there. About 5 Scourge go down on that, and quite a bit of damage on the Mutas as well. And it looks like Soulkey just gonna back away for now, taking the damage he's already got. He's gonna transition this into a Hydraless game from here.
Yeah, that was potentially a devastating storm. Did a lot of damage to those Mutas and cleaned up quite a few of the Scourge as well. So Soulkey gonna want to respect that. Tries to engage on these Corsairs, but most of them gunning down all of those Scourge. So only a few Corsairs went down there, and still a healthy count of 8 out on the map. Soulkey now in a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of air control here for Paralyze now, so gonna have to be building up his Overlord fleet in the safety net of his Hydras and kind of be a bit more passive for now, while these Mutas will also be a little bit more timid out on the map, because if they do get caught by the Corsairs, he's going to lose all of those Muta investment and the Carapace upgrade all at once, and kind of be in a nightmare situation where his Hydras not only have to fight the infantry off the Protoss, but also have to defend the Overlords from the air.
Now there is an opportunity here if Paralyze decides to go across the map with his army, that the Mutas could dive in and try to kill off this third base. It's just got 2 cannons here, starting to be built up, but actually Soulkey gonna come right over to this side. He wants to pick off a Templar or 2 and then use the Hydras to deny the third base. He doesn't have Overlord speed though, and the single DT is doing a great job. Nice snipes here on the Templar though, killing off the majority of them. Looks like 1 storm goes down, but this is way too many Hydras to break. Actually, he's just gonna back away. What? I thought he was gonna kill that Nexus for sure.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't want to overstay his welcome. If he stays to kill the Nexus, he can get boxed in by the Zealots, and it might not be the best situation for him, and he needs to maintain his army count right now. Doesn't want to risk bleeding any units. Maybe he feels that even if the third base is alive right now, it doesn't actually matter. He's actually in a pretty good position. He's a very high supply count, just trailing behind Paralyze right now. There is a big count of Zealots outside the natural third of Soulkey. Soulkey's going to retreat to his Sim City while the Corsairs are gunning down all of the Overlords. So if he kills just a few more, it's going to start supply blocking Soulkey while he gets on top of his army. Meanwhile, Soulkey on the 9 o'clock position is going to be pushing in a few Hydras to kill that Nexus, while the rest go to the natural to try and break the Protoss there, and also turtling up against these Zealots, forcing them back to retreat to defend, but did lose quite a few Overlords in the meantime. So it's currently supply block. Soulkey trying to hammer on the gates and push through here. There are a few High Templars desperately waiting for some storm, but it's going to be another 8 to 10 seconds before the storm comes online. But these Hydras will get cleaned up by the Zealots flooding in from the east. So Soulkey, for his trouble, managed to take out the 9 o'clock base, but did lose quite a few of his Overlords in the process, so wasn't really producing much units during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting hella supply block there, barely able to produce anything. He's just going to be popping a ton of Overlords out of some of these eggs here. Hydras are now starting to hit the field once again. Paralyze, his third base has been killed, but he's not out of this game. He's still got some ways in here, but he needs more gates, he needs more probes, and eventually he's going to need that third to come down. Lurkers on the way here. Paralyze, he sees it, backing away immediately. He knows it's time for a Dragoon transition situation, but he's got to get something done with this number of zealots. This is so many zealots. Oh god, this attack is not looking the best here. Not with the greatest surface area here. Paralyze spreading things out, starting to get that surface area, picking off a lot of overlords here, but as the lurkers burrow and reinforcement hydras come up, these zealots are going to start to disappear. And there it is. All of those zealots get pushed back, and lurkers are going to come forward. Now it is the prime position here for Soulkey to take a big old contain on Paralyze and set himself up to prevent that third base indefinitely.
It's going to be really rough on Paralyze from here. I kind of understand the game plan he had going in there. He wanted to kind of go say a Zealot and try and like use the Zealots while he could before the Lurkers came into effect, so the Zealots didn't just dry up to the Lurkers in the continuous fights leading on from that. But now he's like down in supply, and there's a huge Lurker contain outside his base. One thing going for Paralyze right now is that there's this Corsair fleet which is desperately trying to gun down more and more of these Overlords, but they are getting all picked off by the Hydras. All but 3 of those Corsairs are now remaining, and Soulkey starting to feel very eager now, pushing forward further and further with these Lurker contain to try and batter down the wall. Although he's kind of helping out Paralyze, because Paralyze needs to kill this wall himself anyway just to get out. So a little bit of a crazy aggression from Soulkey, but mainly just wants to bait out storms to minimize the potential energy when he does finally try to come out. So meanwhile, now Soulkey taking this 3 o'clock base is going to be setting up for a fairly confident win, I think it's in.
Yeah, absolutely. This is never a position you want to be in as a Protoss player. The Hydras are going to be running forward here, gunning down Dragoons. He just wants to reduce that count a little bit, just so that he can prevent that critical mass of Dragoons, which will be necessary for taking out these Lurkers. And yeah, Lurkers are gunning down a ton of these Dragoons as they kind of run forward here. It looks like a single gateway was actually on a bad rally there, just running out in the front. Now the Hydra is going to push right on through. GG, Soulkey, convincing win there. Although Paralyze did do a good job with his Corsairs. He deflected the all-in into the main base, or the Ogre Zerg gamer play there with a ton of Scourge and Mutas, but you know, eventually the transition comes, and the Hydra's play just too strong for Paralyze to handle.
Wow, really good game 1, although I do feel like Paralyze got really outclassed there. The early game was really strong from Paralyze, the multitasking, kind of stretching Soulkey thin a little bit, picking up a few of those drones with the Zealot at the third. I really liked some of those plays from Paralyze, really showed some really top tier caliber play, but Soulkey kind of like, just like beat him with experience. Like once we got to the mid game phase, and kind of Soulkey threatened that Ogre style and like took the main by storm and zoned out the Corsairs, took a lot of economic damage. Forced Paralyze to like really commit to that Zealot style, and then countered it very hard with a Lurker switch in the end to really like put the nail in the coffin. So really well played from Soulkey, very textbook stuff.
Paralyze has been eliminated. Can't say that I'm surprised. My favorite Zerg player, Soulkey, taking him to task there. I think he was pissed after losing that many drones to a single Zealot at his third. That was frustrating for sure, say the least. I mean, it's impressive to watch Paralyze do that against a pro Zerg player, but we've all been in that situation, losing drones to a Zealot hidden behind the mineral patches, and it's never a fun time.
I'm definitely not saying. One thing that's just really struck me in this game is that Royal's making a depot at his wall, so at his ramp. So I'm curious if he's wanting to go mech or 2-port Wraith, or I'm wondering what he's going to be throwing out here, because you don't usually see it this often these days.
Yeah, that's curious here. We do have that Wallen coming up, and you know, Royal, he's very well known for his standard Marine Medic play, but he's definitely capable of doing something like a 2-port Wraith. It's just not something I would expect out of him, and maybe that's what's going to make it strong here. However, you know, Soulkey is already on the right path to scout this. He's got his Overlord headed in the right direction, command center on the high ground.
I really like this from Royal. It's a really good way of hedging his bets. You can also do this against Protoss as well if you want to take a really greedy CC, but you don't want to quite just be dead to certain builds. Like, this is one way of hedging your bets and gonna make it a little bit harder for Soulkey to identify exactly what's going on right away, because this Overlord will want to park here for at least a little bit, maybe indefinitely, once Soulkey realizes that this is the position he's in. But he's going to be looking for this command center to be placed down in the natural around about 2:30 to 3 minutes, sometimes as late as 3:40 if it's a factory build. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Royal's going to play it out from here and how quickly Soulkey can sniff this out.
Now, is this a Ling tight wall? Because I'm not clear on that. The command center below the supply depot and the barracks to the left of the command center. I'm not sure if that is. I feel like there should be a gap between the barracks and the command center there, but I haven't really seen many players try this out, but this is a very fast command center, guys. Just for perspective, we're gonna have this command center landing just at 3 minutes here and start to pump SCVs really fast. And Soulkey, who's gone for a middle of the road, just kind of standard build here, standard 2-hatch, is gonna find himself in a hard position with this super fast economy coming out for Royal. Gonna start a bunker right away. Gotta play it safe here because his marine count is extremely low.
Yeah, and Soulkey even made like 6 Zerglings. So he's going to 8. Okay, I think we're going to see a bit of a pressure build at the very least from Soulkey. Either a full-on 2-hatch all-in Ling, or just a little 8 speedling run by into the main to try and do some economic damage and frustrate the build order of Royal a little bit, just to kind of like even things out. But he is still making more and more Zerglings, so it might just be a full-on Ling stab in the natural and try and kill him. He does need a good 12 to 14 Zerglings to make sure he can get on top of this bunker and kill it if he does want to go for that move. And Zerglings are going to start streaming in now. But it's a beautiful SCV block from Royal, completely destroying the surface area of the Zerglings. They're going to get just a couple of SCVs for their trouble. Oh, this is amazing play from Royal. He's so far ahead in this game right now. Soulkey needs to make something happen soon, or he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here soon.
I'm surprised he wanted to run forward with the Lings so early and before these reinforcements arrived, but it's actually going to work out in his favor here because Royal sent everything back to mining. He didn't have any blocks going. These Lings are actually going to make it up here into the main and cause some serious harassment. Here comes more Lings, actually. He's going to continue with this play, trying to kind of end the game here early on. This is not, of course, all in from Soulkey, but he can get his Spire up and start to pump mutas. He just really needs to get damage done right now. He has to kill SCVs. He's got to delay turrets, and he's got to kill as many Marines as possible. 2 Firebats here. Gonna be the Kryptonite, though. More Lings flooding in. Oh my god, this is so many Lings in the main.
Yeah, Royal really misstepped here. He thought the Ling aggression was over. He was going back to transition into a normal game, but Soulkey had other plans and now going to be clearing up most of these SCVs. I think this might be game. He stopped the engineering bay from being built as well. There will be mutas on the way soon. Soulkey's doing a great job. He's going to get on top of these other Marines there. There are medics, but they're completely away from the Marines now, so he's going to get some good surface area on those Marines to take most of them out. 1 Marine does manage to survive. There are 2 medics, so those medics can start to heal up the SCVs and stabilize his position just a little bit. But there's so many SCVs that have gone down. Soulkey's actually ahead in supply right now. He can keep flooding in Lings and causing more and more of a headache for Royal to have to deal with, and eventually there'll also be mutas following this up. And Soulkey does try and get on top of the Marines, but doesn't quite get the surface area. He needs to finish one off before the medic can fully heal it. But also, Royal able to pull back the additional Marines as they come out from the barracks. So far, we're doing a good job of stabilizing the position as best he can, but there are mutas on the way, I believe. So if he doesn't start building turrets soon, Soulkey's going to run away with this game.
Oh, he's so dead. He clicked, or he tried to click an SCV on the eBay and he missed. SCV just standing there beside the eBay, not producing, and he finally noticed it, but the eBay is so late. The turrets are just started here, and the Mutalisks are already here, and they're going to start killing off SCVs. They're going to be harassing the Marines here. Royal is in so much trouble. He can't even mine from the natural right now. He is just about to die right now. He's got to stabilize.
Yeah. So I love Soulkey's mutus micro, even like taking a swipe at the depot to like bounce the shot onto the marine to finish it off. Beautiful stuff from Soulkey, getting on top of these marines, reducing their count already down to about 5 or 6 marines. Royal only producing 2 marines at a time. Things are also going to be able to come in and try and help support the mutas in the main base, maybe get on top of the turrets while the marines are distracted. Also denying mining in the natural this entire time, so it is 1 base Terran against 2 base Zerg, although there is only 2 drones mining in the natural, there's not a second gas for Soulkey, so he has to do something now. He has to deny every single SCV building a turret that he can. Every single SCV needs to go down right now. He needs to make sure he finishes the game in the next few moments, because if Terran can stabilize and turn this game around, so Soulkey really needs to take this seriously and not give any room to breathe to Royal here, because as soon as Royal starts getting more and more turrets down, starts getting his healthier and healthier bio count, Royal can actually turn the game around on Soulkey. So Soulkey can have to do really stellar muta micro here and make sure he doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah, he's waiting for more and more mutas to join this pack. As they get up closer and closer to 11, this is going to become super scary. He's already going to pick off this 1 supply depot, potentially supply blocking Royal. It's actually close, not quite. Royal just going to lift off his command center and float into the main. Probably use that for more SCV production, because his SCVs have been taken so low. I think if Royal is smart here, just continuous production of turrets and marines is probably going to be your best bet at this point. He's only got 1 turret here over the barracks, and that's the most dangerous location. If the mutas take over that area, it's lights out for this Terran player, so he's really got to be careful not to lose that lightly here. 1 marine in the bunker will be picked off. Coming into the side here, gonna try and force the lift. Even gets that barracks to lift as well, so this is a great position for Soulkey. He's denying mining, he's denying the production here. A factory on the way, so Royal knows he needs something a little bit more than Marine Medic to kind of push this back and actually solidify his position. And now Soulkey's actually added on a lot more drones. He's going into a macro game now that CC has been retreated.
Yeah, Soulkey did take the opportunity to start transitioning a little bit here, kicking up his production into the next gear. Does have that additional gas and a few more drones to boot, so we'll be able to produce more and more mutas as time goes on. Eventually, Royal needs to put these mutas on a clock with some tech and eventually go into vessels or Valkyries or something to support this bio. As it stands now, he probably will not be able to get out on the map for quite some time now, just throwing down his starport. We'll be trying to get that online as soon as he can. Soulkey just doing whatever he is able to with these 11 mutas. Going to be doing some beautiful swipes on these marines, reducing their count while harassing this CC and chipping away at it, forcing him to lift it off, reposition, and causing as much of a headache as he can into Royal's position on the map, because Royal hasn't really got the most tenable position. He lost so many SCVs and currently is under constant harass, and we'll be waiting some time until we eventually do get some kind of air support out from the vessels or Valkyries. So right now Royal needs to make sure he doesn't make a single mistake, because as soon as he does make a misstep, Soulkey's just going to pounce on top of the bio ball and then get on top of the turn production, and the game's going to be over.
I feel like from here, well, it's going to be tempting to go into a Valkyrie, and yeah, there's the armory. So Valkyries will be coming out here shortly. He really wants to get out on the map and put some pressure back onto the Zerg player, and Valkyries are probably the quickest way to get there. Waiting for the irradiate and vessels to pop out is probably not going to be possible in this position. Delaying that tech as much as possible here. Soulkey throws down his Hydralisk Den as well, so his transition is coming. That lurker upgrade will be on the way already, so I feel like the moment that these Valkyries get out and start to head across the map, we're going to see lurkers morphing and holding in time here for Soulkey. This is a brilliantly played game. After that first initial mess up, that flub in the natural, he's just played it out so well, and Royal is having a really hard time keeping up with him here. Chasing these mutalisks around the main base, still getting damage is Soulkey.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job of like cycling out the weak mutas, replacing them with full HP mutas to kind of maximize the value and really stress the medic energy. And now going to be getting on top of the turret that's on the production as Royal wants to move out. does also get a swipe off on this Valkyrie and a second swipe. One more swipe and that Valkyrie is dead. So already putting a lot of pressure on the air support from Royal. Going to be repairing that up. His Royal as now Soulkey sitting on top of the barracks. No, it's 15 HP. One more swipe. Takes out the Valkyrie, saying that's huge.
Absolutely massive, but look at that. Lurkers are already being made. Royal, I don't know how he could possibly come back from this position. Soulkey makes it look so easy. The way that he transitions from these kind of wild and one-off situations is super impressive. He knows exactly what to do, it seems, and there it is. Lurkers are hatched, and the Valkyrie tech here from Royal is basically moot now at this point.
This is a beautiful game from Soulkey because he's trying to guarantee the win as much as possible. He understands that if he pushes too much for the aggression and tries to finish off the Terran now, that actually gives the Terran the best chance of coming back in the game by bleeding off too many units and giving the Terran a chance to come out on the map and have some map control and put on some counter pressure of his own. But now, as it stands, he's put on so much pressure with this harassment that now he can just walk up to the natural with Lurkers and start containing the Terran who has Valkyries, which do not help at all against Lurkers. Scan does go down and spread from Royal to try and get a surface area on these Lurkers to finish them off, but it doesn't matter because there's too many Lurkers and the Mutas are supporting as well. Gets on top of this Valkyrie, does do enough damage to finish it off. Another Valkyrie coming in, and there are some Scourge but also help finish that off. So it looks like Soulkey going to be running away with this game as the Lurkers and Mutas start to stream into the natural expansion here.
5 medics and no Marines. These Lurkers run straight up to the natural and burrow. Now the ramp is being controlled here. There's almost no way to break this position. And with Lurkers running up into the main now as well, everything that pops out is going to die. We're waiting for the GG now from Royal as this masterfully played ZVT by Soulkey ends with a line of SCVs crushed here in the main base. Another pick off there on another Valkyrie, and GG is finally called. Royal taps out and Soulkey on a spree here. 2 kills. He'll be going on to game number 3. Well, Royal got a little greedy in that last game. He's been eliminated. A big surprise to both of us that Royal was taken out so soon, but that's what happens when you don't respect the Ling all in. Those first few Lings were held so beautifully with the SCV blocking, but he just kind of abandoned the entrance to his main base, let his SCVs all get back to work, and the follow-up play from Soulkey gets right in there, does so much damage, and Soulkey able to close it up from there. Now it's on to Shuttle, who spawned here in the top left-hand corner. Vertical spawns versus Soulkey here in the bottom left, getting out a 11 hatch here. Gonna go for that follow-up pool, and we're gonna have Zealots trailing across the map, so pretty much a mirror game to game number 1 versus Paralyze.
Yeah, it seems like Soulkey really does want to double down on his macro style and go for these 11 hatches, and I can't say I blame him. I mean, if you're confident in your control and early scouting and how to react to certain things, you definitely want to try and get away with the 11 hatch unless you really are forced to go for the overpull on, say, a 2-player map or something.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, he's proven it. He is incredibly good at the control. Of course, that game versus Paralyzed, there was some glitches there, so he's shown a little bit of blood. You know, he can definitely bleed. Paralyzed able to get about 2-3 drones with just a single Zealot, but I think that's an anomaly. The first kill behind the mineral patches in the main was fantastic, and I think we might see a replay here. Nope. Shuttle not going to enter the main. He sends his Zealot back towards his natural, just content in the fact that he's forced out a good number of Lings here from Soulkey. And we'll just continue to scout here with the probe. Oh, nicely done. Catches that probe. A good pick off here in the early game for Soulkey. Going to be denying that scouting.
Yeah, also going to be throwing down that gas at 3 minutes to stay on curve with his tech timing as well. Soulkey definitely likes to go for really fast lair. And against these fast gateway builds, it's really strong because the Protoss can sometimes be a little bit slowed down, especially when you're throwing on a little bit of ling pressure at the front and causing a little bit of hassle. So we're going to be hitting the gateway with two or three Zerglings, while the rest of the Zerglings wait at the wing to threaten a run by to kind of put a bit of pressure on. And we do have quite a few more Zerglings coming up to reinforce this. So
this is bad. This is bad. One Zealot has actually been completely missed by Soulkey. It's going to be heading into the natural right now. All the links are on the other side of the map. This is a real pain in the butt for Soulkey. He's going to be microing here at the front and in the main base at the same time. A lot of links are here. He could get this gateway, but he's got to be careful not to lose too much in the main at the same time. We're not getting a shot of it, but he is focusing on moving his drones here, trying to keep those alive. I think a couple of drones have gone down. No, one drone has been picked, and this gateway is about to fall.
Yeah, this situation actually suits Soulkey because there's one Zealot less to defend, and he can defend well at home with the rallied lings. So actually really favoring Soulkey's decision, going to be getting on top of the probes and really killing the economy here of Shuttle. Not needing necessarily to finish the game, has already crippled some of the economy of Shuttle, now currently even on supply, both of these players. So from here on, Soulkey could transition into a normal game, but right now he has made a few additional lings, so we'll be containing Shuttle with the rest of these lings. He went transitioning into drones now. Had taken drones off of gas, just getting enough drones to take the ling speed to do this aggression, and now we'll be going back into mine it again. Could either opt to going into some kind of fast Hydra play, but I think it's more likely we'll see a more macro reaction out of Soulkey here, wanting to just take those few probe kills and go home with a smile on his face.
A bit of good news here for Soulkey is that he managed to kill the gateway before a Cybernetics core is thrown down, so the Cyber core is going to come down quite a bit later than it usually would, and that's going to give him a bit of time here to get that later layer and spire up before the Corsairs can come across the map. I didn't really like the fact that he was building more lings during that ling aggression. I would have loved to see him transition to drones a little bit faster. There's quite a few lings out here in the front that are just kind of unnecessary, but in the heat of the moment, of course, picking off the gateway and dealing with the Zealot back at home, I guess he pressed the Z button a few too many times, and now he's got about 10 lings, 12 lings out in the front. It is what it is. He did a good job.
I'm certainly guilty of that saying. I'm sure many a Zerg player watching this is now feeling very cathartic, thinking, it's not just me.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that way. It can happen during that kind of pressure moment. Zealots running into your main is it's a scary thing for a Zerg player. It's never fun to deal with.
Yeah, and only just now being throwing down this Stargate, so really a lot of breathing room for Soulkey, and his tech timing is fine. Like he did stop mining gas for a little bit, but relative to what Shuttle's doing, he's right on time, I would say. So I think Soulkey's in an okay position. I think everything's lining up for him reasonably well. I don't think the Corsair gets any more than one, maybe two Overlords if he's really lucky, but I don't think he's going to get much more than one Overlord for his trouble. And Soulkey's going to be powering really hard into 6-hatch Hydra following this up, I think so. Maybe even go for another Ogre Zerg style as well, like we saw in the other game.
Yeah, that's the power of picking off the early gateway before the Cyber Core's down. Now, if that Cyber Core had started just before the gateway died, this Corsair could have gotten like 3, maybe 4 Overlords because the lateness of that Spire. But as it stands, I think he's just going to have to be content with the Scout here. Just flying through. There's the Spire. He sees it. It finishes. He's not going to get an Overlord. He's just going to have to abandon ship here.
Yeah, and it looks like there's going to be a bit of a Zealot pressure on at 6 just to force maybe some units out of Soulkey. It's up to Soulkey whether or not he wants to kind of call that bluff a little bit and see if he can just defend with what he's got and try and get this sunken down and pretty much only morph mutas right now, and not really kind of fall for having, because a lot of Zerg players would maybe, especially weaker Zerg players, would maybe like overreact to make too many Zerglings now, but Soulkey is just maybe going to hatch like just a few extra pairs of Zerglings while flooding regular mutas and stuff behind this. So he's trying to walk the tightrope as much as possible and make just barely the right amount of units to defend, which is kind of how you need to play Starcraft and especially Zerg in general.
Oh, looks like Soulkey not able to get his drones to go around properly there. He was trying to get a drill so that he could defend his sunken, but the drones really wanted to go on the right side of that hatchery instead of the left side. It made it really hard for him to hold on there. He lost some extra drones as a result of that, and his sunken went down as well. A lot of lings fell. That was a pretty good trade there for Shuttle, who's actually going to continue this pressure, but I think there's enough lings on the field now. He should be able to just surround and kill these and continue on droning up now. Hydras are hitting the field. We haven't seen any mutas just yet, and I don't think we're going to see any. Those Scourge did get out on the map, but I don't know where they are now. Did he actually send them in to die?
Actually, yeah, I don't actually know. I think maybe the Sares gunned them down if they did go in. And right now, there's actually quite a lot of air control for Shuttle as a result. So he's going to be probably staying on this Sare Zealot composition for quite some time, eventually getting his High Templars out, and then eventually Goons once the Lurker transition does finally come. But we may be seeing some kind of muta switch at some point from Soulkey. I can kind of smell it in the water. I feel like we're going to be seeing... The only issue for him is that he can't really go for that until he's like found a time to catch some of these Corsairs later on in the game. So his window is kind of closing a little bit for that, and right now losing quite a few drones at the 6 o'clock. There's a nice little sim city here, making it hard for those Zealots to do much else but come in and kill a few drones once in a while. But that is really annoying for Zerg to have to worry about once these Zealots are out on the map and you know they're there. It's kind of like having vultures out on the map. You don't really want to just like abandon your base and leave it undefended. They could always come in and harass you, so it does make you a little bit uncomfortable and uneasy knowing that there's DTs and Zealots like strolling and patrolling around.
Yeah, now the Overlord speed is done, so he can start to be mobile with these Hydras, try to track down the Zealots and the DTs on the map. And, you know, Shuttle here has done some damage, but he's also lost a lot of his army supplies. So his army not looking that big. Just this tiny little Zealot DT army running around is not going to be enough to challenge a big group of Hydralists. And Soulkey managing to catch a Corsair, that's a step in the right direction for what you were saying earlier. Picking off a few of these Corsairs could initiate a Mutala switch in the future.
Yeah, I think that's how Soulkey will want to play these situations. He won't want to do a full committal into like a big fleet of Scourge all at once. He'll be looking to just chip away at the Corsair count over time, and if he sees the opportunity for it, we will see a little muta switch to try and snipe out some of these High Templars. In the meantime, though, just going to be flooding Hydra and a few Scourge to catch these Corsairs as he goes. Shuttle being active with the Corsairs taking out a few Overlords. There is a small counter-attack, I think, at 12 o'clock. Is that an attack at 12 o'clock, or is it just an Overlord? I thought I saw a blue dot at 12 o'clock. It looks like he was trying to kill the Pro building an expansion there or something. Anyway, you see a force moving into the 6 o'clock position. Beautiful storm on the Hydra, and there are Zealots to also try and body block the ramp. The Lurker eggs are being morphed, and looks like Shuttle's just trying to soak up the shots of the Hydras with the Zealots as much as possible, while the Sares go to work and kill all of these Overlords. If there was a DT nearby, that'd be absolutely beautiful, because the DT could just walk in right now and start taking swipes at all of these drones. Unfortunately, the High Temple don't have any energy, unable to storm that big, powerful drone line. So unfortunately not able to do any damage to the economy of Soulkey, just trading units for his time. And that's actually favoring Soulkey right now. Shuttle keep throwing his units away like this. It's going to make it all the more harder for him to fight the Battle Zerg of Soulkey that's going to be coming up in this mid-game phase. But one thing about Retro on this map saying is that it's really hard to take these bases away from Protoss once they secure them. So this 12 o'clock position at Soulkey's third is going to be really a tough nut for Soulkey to crack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit more about this map actually, because it is a newer map in our pool. taking bottom right is it's pretty simple to hold a big portion of the map here. As the Zerg player, if you're able to take that space between the natural and the third and, you know, get that full of lurkers, and then you go ahead and take the natural in the bottom right, you're able to get up to 5 base really efficiently there with a minimum number of lurkers. And look at these Corsairs getting so many kills, actually. Hydra's trying to dip between these hatcheries here, but not quite able to get there in time. And now the DT is here going to work. He's fighting with the drones because he just doesn't have anything here. He's committed a lot over to the natural of the Protoss to try and sort of contain him right now, but this is a lot of damage. I mean, Soulkey is losing a ton of drones. He does finally clean it up, but he lost way more than I think he was expecting to. He really could have used a lurker or two at that base.
Yeah, he did take more damage than he wanted to there, although I would say in the grand scheme of things, the trade will still favor him in the long term, just because of how many drones he's got right now and how much he can power up. He has a lot of gas in the bank if he does want to flood lurkers soon as well. I don't think he will have enough to contain Shuttle's natural, but the one position he could contain is this big bridge area leading to his natural. That'd be a great area to lurker up and kind of contain and control that portion of the map here, and eventually try and squeeze Shuttle out from being able to take a 4th base. Interestingly enough, it looks like Soulkey's wanting to turtle up himself and play very passive. I can't say I blame him. It does suit his playstyle more. It looks like he's going to be wanting to transition into Hive. He realizes that Battle Zerg is just not a good functionality on this map, and I definitely agree with him there. I don't think he should be staying on lair tech for much longer. So he is going to be making some spores, making some sunkens, turtling up these positions, putting lurkers on ramps, scouting around the map with lings, keeping an eye on where the Protoss army is, skirmishing at the front, baiting out storms, seeing if he can get pick up any High Templars, and slowing down the Protoss movement as much as possible while he powers up. He is currently almost even on supply with Shuttle, so this position currently does suit him in this, I would say, but I still feel like Shuttle can get really easy expansions on this map, so there needs to be really exceptional scouting from Soulkey to not let Shuttle sneak out a 4th here, because it could be a nightmare situation if Shuttle does end up getting the 4th base.
Well, let's go big picture here, because Shuttle is starting to push into this area, but everything is turtled right now, and you're not going to get through that. I don't believe it. Shuttle, you're not going to push through this area. This is just so tightly defended. It's going to be incredibly hard, and you know, this is very interesting from Soulkey. The place that he's decided to take his 4th base is that center left. Instead of trying to take those 2 bases in the bottom right, try to take that other quadrant of the map, he's taking the center left. And what that opens up in my mind is the possibility of drops, because now there's like a clear path from the main base and 4th base here from Soulkey right up into the main of Shuttle, who's now going to be actually taking the bases in the top right. So he's extending himself way out to the right-hand side of the map. He's going to have to keep his army, you know, more in a central area to kind of defend that, as well as his natural. And the main base is going to be incredibly exposed here for a huge drop. I think that would be an amazing play from Soulkey. If he doesn't try to take this bottom right immediately, I think that's probably what he'll end up going for.
Yeah, that's definitely one play he can make, and his positions do suit that. It also, it's just in general a really good base for him to take, because it denies that line of attack from Shuttle, so he can't just attack on the left-hand side. So there's not that many avenues of attack for him to go out. Kind of forces him out into the middle of the map more. It also denies that Shuttle from taking that base himself. And there's so many good reasons here for him to take that base. I really do like this way of thinking from Soulkey, and like you say, does open up the main base for a direct line of dropping cracklings and such into the main base later on. You do currently have Defiler tech online as well as cracklings, I imagine, so looks like Soulkey looking to be also expanding in the bottom right quadrant, so going to be going up to a very strong economy and production, currently even on supply with Shuttles. That does favor the Zerg in many regards, so looks like Soulkey's going to be willing to just try and maintain the game state as much as possible while he gets fully online and maxed out and gets his grades. Right now we see a 2-2 for Shuttle, and 2-1 just kicked in for Soulkey. He has 2 attack on his Hydra and +1 Carapace. We'll be needing to get melee attack upgrades and more Carapace upgrades as he progresses, as well as getting Defilers out so we can start plaguing this Protoss army and maybe start launching sieges in these expansions with Darkspawn. But we do have Reaver tech coming out from Shuttle, so it'll be really turtling and doubling down on these bases, I think.
No, oh god, here we go. All right, we're going for the drop.
Here we go.
He did clear out the vision here from Shuttle, and Shuttle's army is way out of position right now. He's gonna see the overlords though. That's a big scout right there, but he doesn't have much over here. Bringing in Archon, some more Templar. That advanced notice is really gonna help him out here. Throws down a preemptive storm, 2 preemptive storms actually, and looks like Soulkey just gonna back away now. I don't know if there was much in there. Did he even have any units in there? Maybe just a fake.
It could definitely be a fake drop. 100% could be a fake drop.
There's a lot of stuff on the map for Soulkey right now. He's got a huge amount of lurkers, and yeah, I don't know if he's actually got a ton in there.
It's definitely a great play for him to fake it at this stage in the game, but he doesn't really want to, I don't think he wants to commit to a drop while he's not doing something somewhere else on the map. So he'll want to do 2 things at once. He will wait for him to be attacked and then drop, or attack somewhere else and then drop as well. So if he does want to drop, now would be the good time to drop, because currently Shuttle's distracted attacking the bottom right. He is sending in the Overlords. It could be a fake, it could be real. Oh, it is real, okay. So Storm's going down on those units though, really messing up the efficiency of the drop, cleaning up majority of those lurkers and Hydroling as they do pop out. There will be enough units coming out to do some damage, to start picking off some of the cannons and High Templars and other units coming out from the gateways to kind of cause a bit of a headache for Shuttle to have to deal with in this game. But meanwhile, looks like Shuttle's going to be turtling up in the northeast quadrant, starting to produce Robos and Reavers at all of these expansions, and really turtling out this game. But I think Soulkey's kind of prepared for him to want to play like that, and wants to just launch drop after drop in the top left and kind of skirmish him down and keep pulling his infantry all over the map. There's no way that Protoss infantry can keep coming from the bottom right side of the map all the way to the top left quadrant of his main base to defend. So really, Soulkey stretching him thin here and taxing his mobility.
Absolutely. Big targets there in the main base. Going to be the Templar Archives, the Citadel of Adun, and of course the robotic support bay. If any of those get picked off, actually it looks like the Templar Archives did go down, so he's not going to be able to produce Templar for a while. That is a big problem here for Shuttle, because that's really his bread and butter right now. He needs more of those units. He can't break through any locations here because of the Dark Swarm. Oh, big storm drop. Holy crap, so many drones.
Damage. So many drones just went down, and there's a Doom drop in the main base currently active, doing there's not actually a lot of cracklings here, so there won't be too much DPS for Shuttle to worry about. Cracklings, even in small number though, can do a lot of damage, and he is starting to get on top of these forges. If he can deny like an upgrade or something, that's going to be really huge. I think he is going to deny that upgrade on the forge. There's also some Scourge chasing down the Shuttle. It's like both players being taxed to absolute their limits. Both players already maxed out and wanting to start to skirmish as much as possible, storming the Scourge so it can't catch the Shuttle. Nice little play there from Shuttle, and a beautiful plague in the main base as well. So everything's on fire, and both players are probably having the game of their lives right now.
Absolutely. Just like I mentioned earlier, both those buildings, all 3 of those buildings have gone down. The robotic support bay, Templar Archives, and Citadel of Adun. So the tech tree really being reset at this moment. Another great storm here at the bottom right, and he's gonna go in for more. These are so hard to deal with. Storms, and the speed shuttle is incredibly strong. He's gonna lose that. Of course, with 1,000 minerals in the bank, Soulkey could definitely re-macro this out, and he's not in danger of actually... Oh my god, more kills.
It was saying what just happened was so crazy.
Soulkey thought that he had enough damage to kill the Shuttle, but there was just barely enough shield regen that the Shuttle survived with like 5 HP. So he actually anticipated that he would kill that Shuttle and the High Templars would not get out and kill all the drones. So it's crazy that he slightly miscalculated that the shield HP would be high enough that the Scourge would not kill it when it connected. So it's really unfortunate for Soulkey that the Shuttle did survive and then killed all those drones. He's probably kicked himself a little bit, but he's in a great position right now, trying to drop into the top left to distract Shuttle. Yet again, although this could be a fake, you never know for sure. There's a huge force of lurkers and lings with Defiler support going to be moving into this 5 o'clock base. There's only 1 High Templar and 4 cannons, so this is definitely going to die. Soulkey going to take out this base. He has been mining for a long time now, so it's not the most optimal base for him to attack right now, but it's one of his best options. I can't say I blame him. It's definitely a good choice for him right now. Shuttle going to have to evacuate all of these probes. Doesn't actually lose a lot, so minimal damage to Shuttle. Got out with most of those probes as well, so not too bad for him. He's going to be losing this base and still a healthy number of probes, though, so still very painful for Shuttle. Losing one of these bases of production, going to be reduced to 2 bases worth of economy unless he can clean up this attack. Ooh, the Zealots are actually getting really good surface area on those lurkers, and the Reavers come in to help, so don't think he's going to be able to clear out this position. So looks like Shuttle going to be holding on to this base and only losing a few probes for his effort.
Yeah, I'd love to see the drone versus probe count at this point. I think that Soulkey has built a lot more of those. High Templar here are exposed. He's going to go after him. Big storms there. Really nice play by Shuttle. Handling that kind of precarious situation with a lot of poise. Manages to get most of the storms off and trades decently well, despite being kind of surprised there at the natural. Dropping the Reaver, gets plagued, but does manage to hold on to that area. And Soulkey, he's gonna have to find another area to attack. He still hasn't actually cleaned up the 12 o'clock, which I thought he would have done by now. Archon's actually holding down the fort over there, and Soulkey just rallying up huge amounts of lings now. He's gonna go for the main.
The natural is usually the least defended position of the Protoss at this stage in the game during the late game phase, so definitely the position you usually want to hit, and there isn't many cannons here. Beautiful storms from Shuttle, though, completely wiping out those Zerglings, while the main battle force in the middle, the Protoss infantry, starting to move over to the west and intercept more ling floods. 2 Archons in this main army able to soak up most of this, and a beautiful coordinated storm going to be dealing with that extremely cost efficiently. He is having to deal with a lot of plagues right now, but Archons don't really care about plagues, so the Archons are a really good response to the plague option, although Swarm does help out and force them to only do splash damage only, so it is still counterplay from the Defiler against those Archons. Looks like Soulkey going to be getting in behind this army. He wants to swallow it up if he can. Going to be trying to probably pincer from both sides, but looks like Shuttle going to be jumping on top of the army before it's too late. All the lurkers are stacked. If he has Storm, this is... Oh, that's so much Zerg players. Avert your gaze. That's a painful moment. And Reavers in the bottom right going to be causing some absolute devastation, sniping off a few drones and maybe even a hatchery. There's some Zerglings to try and mitigate that and getting on top of the Reaver. Oh, nice little shuffle with the Reaver. Beautiful. I don't wonder they call him Shuttle. He knows what he's doing when it comes to Shuttles and Reavers, but does lose the Shuttle eventually. Hopefully he doesn't reenact that in this game and get taken out. So far he's doing a good job of maintaining his composure and poise, like you say, and don't think he's going to be getting this hatchery in the bottom right. The lurkers do come down to take that out, but he's doing a lot of damage all over the map currently and trying to limit the production capability of Soulkey here. Another force moving down to the bottom right, but he needs to be careful with this army. If he loses this army just once, it could be over for him. So he needs to make sure every fight he takes is as cost efficient as possible. There's a few High Templars and Storms available to him, and there's a nice little tight choke across the bridge for Soulkey to have to attack into. A beautiful plague, though, swamping those Dragoons with some nice hot chili sauce, making them taste even more delicious in the fight to come.
Yeah, and Soulkey has actually pulled away a lot of his defenses from the bottom right. That area doesn't have a real lurker field anymore, so I'm afraid that Shuttle might be able to break through that area. However, with the plague going down on all those units, plus most of the Templars being are not having energy anymore, this is becoming less and less of a possibility. Now going for this one more Templar, he's gonna get that with the crackling. Picks off these 2 Archons as well, and he's denying that critical mass of Archons that's so powerful in the late game for Protoss. Just keeping that number down, super important. Keep the plagues going on the Reavers as well is really good. Getting here under the Darkstorm, he's gonna try to get the Nexus. It's getting very low. Is he gonna get it? 100 HP, 94. Does manage to survive. Shuttle gonna be able to mine out that base.
Yeah, unfortunately not just barely getting it He wisely just threw down the swarm and targeted with the Hydras. Hydras still do full damage to buildings under Dark Swarm. Oh, beautiful Archon block, going to be denying the units from getting too deep in there, but a nice little plague on the Reavers as well. Both players kind of showing some stellar gameplay, I would say. Nice little ZVP and also showcasing why this map is a bit awkward as well. It kind of forces these precarious sort of like turtle-heavy island almost style expansion pathing and ways of engaging each other, because there's no real clear lines of attack on this map once you start controlling some of their ramps and forcing both players to have to try and go out into the open to engage one another. As a Protoss player, trying to move out into the middle can be a bit of a death sentence for the Zergs able to get a full surround, so really forcing both players to think more tactically. Another shuttle loading up with some High Templar going to be going to the southeast, but there are lots of Scourge waiting in the wing to deny that. The shuttle with 2 HP still fighting for its life in this game. He's trying to make it all the way out to the next one, maybe even surviving as long enough to see the release of Starcraft 3, so who knows.
All right, we've got another attack here into the center right. Dark Swarm going to go down, and the Lings are starting to pour forward, but 3 Reavers is a fearsome force here. They are all plagued, though, so as soon as they get a little bit of damage on them, they are going to fall. Another force going to come around behind this and flank it. I think these Lurkers are pretty much dead at this point. He's not going to be able to run away from this position. Just throwing down Dark Swarms and Plagues. This is a massive force from Shuttle. He's really outdone himself here with pretty much a maxed out Archon, Dragoon, Zealot, Templar army going to push down towards the south. Does Soulkey have what it takes to hold this off now? He's running a little dry.
That was a really beautiful catch from Soulkey there. Not only did he bait out a storm and dodge with the Lings, but he managed to catch 3 Archons with like less than a control group of Lings and killed all 3 Archons with them. That was a really great pickup from Soulkey there, reducing the Archon count yet again. Kind of like reducing the siege tank count, kind of taking the sting out of the Scorpion style. Beautiful plague as well. Soulkey doing what he can with what little he's got. He is currently like down about 50 or so supply, but that doesn't really matter as long as he can keep trading well. He just needs to keep the Protoss back and keep plaguing, keep throwing cost-efficient units at him. A few Lurkers here, a few Lings there, and kind of forcing the Protoss to use a lot more gas-heavy units in this composition to deal with him. Currently, Zealot's not able to be cost-efficient anymore against the Lurkers, so really getting full value out of these cracklings is Soulkey. He needs to be careful, though. He is catching up a lot of these units from Shuttle. I actually feel like Shuttle's overextending a lot. Needs to be a lot more careful in this game, does Shuttle. If he could overstep his welcome, if he keeps forcing the issue too much on that eastern flank.
But then again, Shuttle does have that ridiculous amount of gas geysers that will net him an insane number of Archons. Really pumping up that Archon count is all that matters at this moment, as eventually he's going to get to that critical mass where you can't even engage at all, and the Reavers can shoot down all the Lurkers. The Lings just cannot fight. Now you have to kind of switch into Hydra, but none of that really works well against what Shuttle has put forward here. 3 Reavers over there at the center right, just annihilating everything that walks up this ramp. That is costing Shuttle a bit of money, but he's still pretty rich right now. He's got some money to spare. He's maxed out. He's going to start to kind of funnel these or shuttle these Reavers forward to hit as many of the Lurkers present as possible before he takes the full engagement here with the Archons. Shuttle, gotta keep that alive. It is going to be able to pick off all the Scourge, but a couple of the Reavers do go down, and some more Defilers do show up to plague everything. This is a great back and forth between these two. I don't know where this ends, but it could go all the way to the mine out here.
I think it possibly will. Now, don't forget, there is this like base in the middle. It's not gas, but maybe that's going to become relevant at some point, where like both players are mined out and the only thing left is this little middle base. It's really hard to crack these tough shells of Protoss players when they just kind of sit there. And yeah, is Soulkey just going to tap out? I can't say I'll blame him. Like, it's really hard to play against this style, and if he can't kill one of these bases, he is eventually going to lose the game while on even gases with Shuttle. GG, wow.
GG. Shuttle manages to take that win, shuts down Soulkey after his 2 victories there. Gets the clapper from KCM as well. High praise for Shuttle in the late game of PvZ. He's definitely well adept adapted to that style of Soulkey, and this is kind of the you know, there was a time where I thought that Shuttle was going to be an ASL champion. It was quite a long time ago, but it was during the time when Zergs were favoring like going super late game and getting into Hive and just grinding down the Protoss player in the late game, and Shuttle showed the control necessary and the transition into Reavers necessary to take that down, and he proved it here once again. I doubt that Soulkey will want to take a long, drawn-out game against Shuttle in the future. He showed amazing play there, and we're going to see more games from him coming up here. Game number 4. An amazing Protoss versus Zerg in that last one. Shuttle really showing his quality, bringing us a fantastic late game there. Now going to be going up against Sharp, one of our most aggressive Terran players, especially in this matchup. Terran versus Protoss. We are on Neo Sylphid with Shuttle spawning here in the bottom left and Sharp in the bottom right. I doubt we'll see quite as epic of a game on this 3-player map, but should be an exciting one nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm curious with it being a flat map if we'll see anything cheesy out of Sharp, like a 2-factory kind of play. Possible we'll just see a very standard game out of him as well, but if he did want to go for something like a 2-factory play against Shuttle, this would be a great map for it, with the flat expansion and fairly quick rush distance. These third bases are actually not real high ground. You can see, as you can see, the SCV can see up them without having to get up the ramp, and so there's no mischance up here. So quite easy for the tanks to attack up in. It's not like Polypoid where the tanks might have to fight for the high ground position at the mineral only area. They can get up there fairly easy, but equally can't defend it as easily from the Protoss once secured. But with the 2-factory push, you're just concerned about making space, so that's fine for the Terran player. So this would be a really good map for an aggressive build of that, but instead we're going to be seeing probably just a very standard bunker expand from Sharp, trying to get a little bit of a greedy economic edge by skipping the gas initially. Going to be defending with the bunker and then repairing it while the Dragoons shoot at it, kind of evening out a little bit, but slight economic edge for Sharp with a tech advantage for Shuttle.
Yeah, absolutely, and looks like Sharp, he's going to get that little supply depot wall with the barracks as well. Wants to make sure that this first zealot can't do any damage to him. He doesn't have that bunker done just yet. He'll only have about 2 to 3 Marines here on the field when the zealot arrives, so some micro will definitely be necessary, but nothing that he's not capable of pulling off. This zealot actually could just run by here. You need to be ready with the SCV to block. And he is ready with that and just pulling back and away. Sharp gonna be fine here.
Yeah, Sharp looking sharp. He had his SCVs waiting at the choke point to block. You definitely do need to block that. There's definitely not enough DPS to shave off the shields fast enough, so really on top of his stuff. I think Flash kind of back in the day showed people how this build was done, by how you can get away with being super greedy and using your SCVs to full advantage in the early game to mitigate any potential damage from setup pressure and the like. So it's going to be throwing down his factory right this second while checking into the expansion area and seeing no Nexus just yet. So alarm bells are going to be ringy-dingy-dingy in the mind of Sharp as he slinks into the main base and wonders what's going on. Does see the third pylon, does see the range on the way, so he's thinking, surely you're going to be taking your Nexus now, so maybe there is nothing cheesy coming out of you. But for a second there, he wanted to get in there and really confirm what was going on, because if he didn't see a third pylon, or if he didn't see the core spinning, he'd be really panicking and wondering if there's a proxy DT on the way, or if there was a proxy robo or something else.
Yeah, he gets a scout out here on the map as well. He's just seeing the entire map. He saw up in that center right base, he saw the high ground just outside of his main here. Everything's been revealed, so he's not afraid any more of a proxy. He's even gonna get down here and scout this bottom left, and now he knows for certain that there's a Nexus at the natural. It's pretty late Nexus. It's going to allow Shuttle to put on quite a bit of pressure here with the 3 goons now, about to be 4. As more are rallying for. There's a robo in the main. I think that Shuttle may skip over getting an early observer here in favor of the quicker Reaver, but Scout is going to come through once again. Sharp seeing everything. He doesn't manage to get into the main base, though. A good block with the probes and that Dragoon.
Yeah, great scout denial there from Shuttle, catching that probe with the probes and the goons pop. He did leave one of his Dragoons behind as well to make sure he could catch that SCV, really wanting to deny that scout. It's so important to keep the Terran in the dark, so the Terran knows what you're up to, and he can do the perfect response to counter that. Oh, Sharp's going to be a little bit careful here. There are 4 Dragoons, and 4 Dragoons can 2-shot a tank, so needs to be careful. Shuttle could just dive on top of this tank and snipe it up. He wants to do the Zealot goes in, the tank damage, while Shuttle starts raining down side disruptor shots on these SCVs, picking off the economy a little bit of Sharp, but does manage to get out without losing a Dragoon as the siege tank finally does siege up. So really nice little timing there from Shuttle, understanding the exact moment that the siege tank will get his siege mode, so wanted to get a few SCV kills for his trouble, and so far looking pretty good. But Sharp has done a really good job of lining himself up nicely with this build, and being able to cut all these corners the way he has been, and squeezing out this kind of slightly greedy build. I think like eventually he's going to be in a really good position unless Shuttle can kind of kick it up into high gear with a really fast 4 base, or maybe even go for a bulldog here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that attack had kind of a double purpose there. Able to get in and actually see that 2 factory units had already popped. There's a Vulture and a tank already in the natural. That means that there had to be 2 factories produced after the command center. That's going to kind of rule out the possibility of a starport, but look at this. It's going to run right on in. Going to get 2 tanks right off the bat. Oh, that's so painful here for Sharp. As I was just saying, there's no chance here for Sharp to have a starport here, so there's not going to be any drop play coming from Sharp, which means that Shuttle can stay very, very aggressive with his Dragoons, as we just saw there, able to dive forward and get some kills instead of staying back at home and being, you know, wary of a drop. Just gets more and more value here out of these early Dragoons.
Oh, this Vulture also saying intercepting some of these probes, even just getting 2 or 3 of these is going to be a nice little juicy pickup for Sharp. That's really healthy. Maybe and get another probe for his trouble. Does lose the Vultures, that's a little bit of a shame, but getting 3 probes for his time, that's definitely worth it. As long, I would say that in this position, I'm still favoring Sharp a little bit, even though he lost those tanks. In answer to your question about the factory timing and him checking purposefully or not, yeah, there is one situation where Sharp may be staying on 1 factory and going mines to take a really fast third on this map, but I don't think it'd be that likely for him to do that, so I don't think that was the purpose necessarily with that check, but it definitely does confirm exactly what's going on. Usually with a bunker expand, you're throwing down the 2 factories very quickly in short order afterwards. It's very rare that you'll only stay on 1 factory after a bunker expand, so definitely not too suspicious that he saw those 2 factory count, and I'm not sure if that would be a good line of reasoning for him to commit just for that purpose, but it was definitely good for him to do that and confirm.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's hardly any damage coming down. Oh, he gets through!
Oh, he gets it! He gets it perfectly, but a beautiful follow-up block from Shuttle. These
Players are both on fire right now. Beautiful execution on the leapfrog over the pylon wall with the mine. I've never seen someone do it quite as effortlessly as that before. Sharp making it look easy and mining up and volleying his way through to the natural base. Huge potential damage here. There is a Reaver to start cleaning up these Vultures, and a good pro drill from Shuttle, catching the Vulture on the left and the Reaver taking out the 2 on the right. Both players playing seriously good right now. So far, I'm favoring Shuttle, though. That's brilliant execution for him. Right now, he's kind of really behind in supply, but he is outplaying Sharp. He's kind of been countered in the build order, but at the moment, he's still outplaying Sharp overall, I would say. He's doing great responses to these great executions of offensive harassment from Sharp. So I'm really liking Shuttle in this game so far.
Yeah, you can see Shuttle has definitely dealt with this type of aggression from Sharp before. The moment that Vulture made its way into the 3rd base, he immediately moved to cover the natural. He knows that Sharp will be looking for openings in that way. and he holds that off brilliantly. I think he lost just a few probes there, but using that Reaver and holding that area was so important. A lot of players would lose their entire probe line to that play.
Yeah, we do see Sharp landing his third command center at the third base now, starting to siege up there. Now, it is a false high ground, as I was saying earlier, so it is a much easier position to attack into as the Protoss. The main issue is the geometry around the edge of the base. This big long cliff line is really awkward to attack around and get into, so really awkward for the Protoss to maneuver against, so probably won't want to attack into that for quite some time. Instead, going to be having 2 speed shuttles moving up to the 3 o'clock position, maybe to go into the main base and do a lot of damage here. There is some turrets in the main base, but I don't think that Vulture will see it until just barely in time for him to maybe react to it, but there's probably going to be a lot of damage. He might even just unload and start killing a lot of the turrets and tech of the Terran player while the Reavers go into the main base and try and get the armory down. There is currently no upgrade being researched, so it's a little bit unfortunate for him that currently the tech timing isn't a factor in this position, so he is going to instead just try and trade off some of the army of Sharp as it comes in to defend, but we'll be also clearing out some of those turrets in the back. Unfortunately, the Zealots weren't able to get the other turrets, so the shuttles are a little bit boxed in here. He did want to get both those turrets with the Zealots so that he wouldn't have to worry about getting out again, about taking damage. Does get a nice little tank pick off the shuttle, and they're going to be swinging on down into the bottom right corner to stay safe. And a Wraith is on the way though, so if he doesn't move that soon, he is going to lose the shuttle. I don't think he's aware of the Wraith being made, so he is going to probably lose that shuttle eventually.
Yeah, the Wraith. Whoa! Wait, what?
What?
Okay, get back over there. Get back over there. All right, he is gonna find it.
Get back over there.
And finishes it off. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to drop there. Loses those 2 Reavers. But they did a reasonable amount of damage, and they pulled Sharp a little bit away here. Most of his Vultures are actually heading over towards this position right here, right now, as Shuttle drives his army into this tight little corridor, dropping on top of these tanks. Gonna pick off a few of them, but can he actually make his way through here? I don't think he's got the position right now. He's actually hold positioning just outside of the range of these tanks. He's trying to pick off whatever he can, but I don't think he can go any further than this. He will have to back off as those tanks push forward and set up.
Yeah, it looks like also Shuttle going to be taking his 4th base right now. It's a little bit late. He was probably hoping to do more damage than he's done thus far. The timings for him have been a little bit off, like when he did the drop in the main, like the armories weren't even upgrading at that time, so denying them wasn't quite as fruitful. Was still annoying and did a lot of damage to Sharp, but isn't getting the critical damage that he needs in this game currently. So Sharp looking pretty strong and unfazed at the moment. Has reduced the count of the tanks a little bit over the course of this game, but so has the infantry of the Protoss been dried up a little bit. Only currently a standing army of 14 to 20 Dragoons maximum against quite a few siege tanks, so currently favoring Sharp just a little bit in his posturing with the very late 4th from the Protoss player. So currently would be really nice to see the Protoss player able to clear up more of these mines and control more of the map as the game progresses. And it's really great that Shuttle's moving forward and clearing out the mines and also getting a siege tank for his trouble. He needs to be really active with these Dragoons out on the map, constantly clearing out these minefields. We see a little Vulture raid coming out to the natural, but there's plenty of units there. Beautiful scan from Sharp, scanning ahead to make sure he doesn't bleed off those Vultures unnecessarily.
And I love this position from Sharp where he's at right now. As he moves forward here on Neo's Sylphid, you can start to mine the central area of the map. Yes, I guess you could say like the upper 6 o'clock, where there's a kind of a straight line that can be set up with a ton of tanks, a ton of mines. You can throw down turrets in that area, and it immediately nets you both those 2 bases to the south of that location. Of course, there are options for the Protoss to come through from the main base, try to land in that area, but it's still very hard to do, and it's basically 2 free bases there as long as you can deny drops into those locations. Now, I'm not sure if that's where Sharp wants to go. He may end up trying to take this base on the center right here, or try to push up towards the 12 o'clock, because Shuttle is continuing to grow, continuing to build up, although his supply has just barely surpassed where Sharp is at the moment.
The 2-1 just came online for Sharp Saiyan, so this Terran army is going to get stronger and stronger. So he is going to outscale the Protoss. Really nice plays from Shuttle, doing what little he can with these Reavers on the flank, taking out some units of Sharp. But overall, this position is really favoring Sharp. I mean, he's currently surpassing Shuttle just slightly on supply right now. There's so many factories in production. Shuttle desperately getting 5 base production online himself. And
do we lose him? Shun, are you there? Okay, a bit of technical difficulties there, but we are back. Is that right, Shun?
Yeah, we are back.
Okay, fantastic. We've got the 5th base coming up here from Shuttle, but getting cut off. Oh, goodness, so many vultures here. He's going to lose a lot of probes. The army makes its way up here. It's going to be able to block, but this is just classic Sharp right now. Oh, and the mines. Really good pull away there, but that could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, great damage mitigation from Shuttle, not to lose too much there. And I'm really liking how on top of things Sharp is now using that. Really what the play there was just to open up the position, keeping track of the Protoss army and allowing him to push across the map for free here. And there's no way Shuttle can slow down this push. Look at this beautiful screen that we see on the mini-map, like all these little spotter mines out on the middle of the map to kind of see exactly where the Protoss is, so that all our flanks are covered and we can siege up and respond at a moment's notice. Now swinging over to the western flank, wanting to fight the Protoss army head on is always a good strategy for the Terran. If you can get away with it, you always want to engage head on. If you've got this big powerful army with upgrades, Storms in the Shuttle are going to be trying to skirmish with this army as Sharp starts to spread out and set up in the middle, wanting to control the entire center of the board here, kind of treating this like a bit of a chess game, deciding that the middle is where he wants to control so he can kind of launch a further assault to the north from here.
Yeah, completely maxed out now. Sharp has, I believe, 3-2 now, if I'm not mistaken. But only 1 upgrade so far on the side of Shuttle. That's definitely going to be favoring Sharp quite heavily, and he will be relying a lot on these storms. And so far, he just hasn't found any damage with them. I'm going to go back and pick up a couple more Templar, but he really needs a miracle here. Miracle storms are what's going to be necessary to break this push, because it's so spread out. It's a very long tank line here. These tanks at the back are going to be leapfrogged forward, and this is going to come to a head very, very quickly. Running forward with the Vulture's going to grab one of these Templar, getting rid of some of those key elements, those very, very important Templar that are necessary to win this battle.
Yeah, Sharp giving Shuttle a haircut there, and like a little bit off the top. A few of those high Templars going down, starting to push into this position at the 4th base. Tanks already going to be setting up shortly. A huge minefield in front of the tanks. If there was more Zealots, those mines would be a bit of a detriment because they could be dragged into. There's a huge swell of units trying to flood in from the west, but it's just a beautiful spread of tanks getting stormed and mine drags in the southern threshold as well. Beautiful pickup of the High Templar from the Vultures as well. So Sharp doing a great job of staying on top of mitigating any potential further threats from those support units while keeping the pressure on this base at the 4th location. Going to be transferring SCVs to the 3 as well, keeping himself growing. It's really important as Terran to keep growing in this matchup, so doing a great job of that. And just as you said about the grades, Shuttle's 2-1 did finish, and I believe that 3-2 is either just finished or is about to finish for Sharp.
Sharp, he's just barely in range of this 4th base, and that's all you need here as a Terran player. You just need to be hitting that a little bit, put the pressure on the Protoss player, make him move to you, make him come out and fight here, because otherwise Shuttle is just going to sit back and wait for more storms. He's going to wait for more units and eventually try to break out. But as it stands, if he waits any longer, he's going to lose this base, these 2 bases actually, the one here in the top left and the one on the high ground just above the screen we're watching now. He's dropping Zealots on top of these. Oh my god, what a mine drag there. Really nice play out of Shuttle, but I don't think it's going to be enough, man. He's losing both of these command center, or Nexus, excuse me.
Yeah, it's really, really tough for Shuttle from this position. I would say his win percentage is in the single digits at this stage, just because of how strong this push is from Sharp and how powerful these Terran units are. Currently 3-2 weapons upgrades against 2-1 of the Protoss, still launching an assault on this third base mid-line location now. Very well fortified, and the geography of this map does make it very awkward to attack into. There's still a lake with the bridge, kind of cutting off a lot of the mobility of the Protoss player, forcing him to use shuttles, and instantly the High Templar gets sniped as it comes out. Wanted to land the Zealot first rather than the High Templar, wouldn't have been sniped so instantly. Sharp able to kind of prevent the damage before it's even done. Does also get the other High Templar as it tries to come out and get a sneaky storm off, and they're going to be killing off these cannons now to mitigate all the economy, completely destroying and ravaging all of the hope that Shuttle might have of winning this game. The winning percentage currently plummeting by the second, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And those probes are all going to end up dying. The ones on that high ground base also got picked off completely. So Shuttle really lacking in the economy now to continue this game. And GG is called. Sharp takes that one away. And Shuttle goes down with a boom. Okay, with the elimination of Shuttle, the all-kill prize has been taken off the table. That 600,000 won will not be divvied out this week. It's going to continue to grow into week number 6. And we are now starting off this game with Saber versus Sharp here on Dark Origin. Sharp up in the top left-hand corner, Saber in the bottom right. A ZVT on Dark Origin should be a lot of fun. A forward Rax here being thrown down from Sharp.
Yeah, but a really super fast 9 scout going to be coming out from Saber. Might see this instantly and maybe get the full denial on it. He's going to maybe even cancel that barracks unless the drone doesn't barely see it. I think he should see it. Just, oh, he's 1 hex out of range of seeing it. Oh my god, he's 1 hex out of range. Come on, just a little bit more to the left. Oh no.
Oh, Saber.
I mean, that was almost like almost a free win for him if he scouts that right away and gets the denial on that. So really unfortunate for Saber not being able to spot that barracks right away. But now we'll smell something's up after confirming the SCV count and not seeing anything in the main. So he'll be throwing down his 12 hatchery, and they're probably a little bit annoyed that he hasn't found it yet, but it's going to be doing good gas. It's going to be a really fast vulture build out from Sharp, maybe even building this factory in a very nice little proxy location as well. Going to be putting the pressure on Saber, who hasn't yet just thrown down his pool either.
Whoa, that's a mistake. Saber, he should have thrown down the pool after seeing no barracks in the main, because there's definitely going to be pressure here. A bunker going to be thrown down. And yeah, I don't know where he's going to drop this factory, but he could drop it very, very close to the main. And maybe over at the third base location, he could build a vulture, float it up, and, you know, land in the main, build another vulture. Those are all viable options here for Sharp right now. A big drone pull coming from Saber. He's taking this very seriously, but not seriously enough to put down the early pull. It's crazy.
Yeah, he has pulled down like a lot of drones, so 7, a very healthy number of drones. You need to pull at least 5. 6 is a good number, and 7 is kind of like the really not wanting to die to this kind of way of dealing with it. Like, oh, he might catch this drone on the left. The scouting drone does go down for Saber, so Sharp already picking up a nice little advantage. He needs to get like 2 drone kills to be kind of even with Saber, 3 to be ahead. Does get the second drone kill, so now Sharp already has stabilized the position and going to get a third. So now looks like Sharp is going to be in a very commanding position, also getting a 4th drone kill. So really great play from Sharp. And a 5th drone goes down, maybe even a 6th. He does get the 6th drone as well, so Saber might have to do some kind of all-in play in this game, or at least try and stabilize himself with a Soulkey and then try and get into some speedlings to deal with his vulture as it's going to be coming up soon. It's a really bad situation for Saber. He might even have a Wraith to follow up this vulture soon as well.
Yeah, that is as painful as it gets. Losing that many drones and then being forced to throw down a Sunken as well. It just does not get worse than that. That's -1 drone, minus a whole bunch of minerals as well. He's got a few drones here in the main, a few drones in the natural, but he can't really afford to mine gas right now. He just doesn't have the money, and the Lings are going to get across the map and do absolutely nothing. I don't understand building, you know, using 7 drones to fight the Marines so aggressively and then building Lings after that, because it does nothing here. That's crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Saber, this really didn't work out for him. He lost so many drones, and this Vulture, without speed upgrade on these Lings, will kill essentially an infinite amount of those Zerglings. So Saber going to be on the back foot and having to rely on this Sunken. The only thing going for him is that this wasn't a proxy factory, so there's not going to be any Vultures in the main base anytime soon. But that Wraith coming out is going to be a bit of a nightmare situation for him, because he's only just now starting to mine gas, and will have to throw down a Hydralisk then in a bit of a panic. Could turn this into a bit of a two-hatch Hydra situation, maybe put on some pressure onto Sharp after fending off the base. There's going to be a Vulture run by into the main base. Drones desperately trying to drill, does get the snipe on the Vulture and deny the other one getting inside. Really good play from Saber. They're not taking any further damage in this game at thus far.
That could have been game-ending damage there if Sharp had gone into the main. Would have lost every single drone here. Had to transfer all his drones to the natural. That would have been so painful. So really good that he managed to block that. It doesn't really mess up Sharp that much though. Those were kind of sacrificial. We know there are not many Lings on the map anymore, and Wraiths are going to be out here to scout everything. Another Vulture coming forward as well. Everything looking really good for Sharp here. He's going to get at least an Overlord kill, maybe even two.
Well, he's going to try and kill this one Overlord in the natural and micro it down a little bit. There is one Hydra coming out to fend that off, but with good micro from Sharp, and there's no range on this Hydra, obviously, so we'll be able to pick off that Overlord for about half of its HP. And there is another Overlord out on the map in the top right that Sharp can go and hunt down soon as well, maybe further supply blocking Saber, already kind of capitalizing on his advantage already. He's got so many drone kills in the early game, and Saber's desperately just trying to drone out and get by with the minimal amount of Hydras, so we'll also be losing probably at least one or two Overlords as well. Looks like Sharp going to be hunting down this Overlord in the top right successfully.
Very nice moves by Sharp, finding this Overlord, trying to find a hidden location in the top right-hand corner, but not able to get there in time. Sharp finishing that Overlord off, going to supply block once again. Here comes a dropship. Vultures into the main is going to be the plan here. Saber seems to have sniffed it out though. He does have some forces here ready to go. It's kind of predictable at this point. You know that there's a bunch of Vultures out on the map, and of course there is that starport, so you can kind of predict that he may be going for something like this. But look at this mine. Oh, two Hydras dying already. So painful. And more are actually heading out on the map. What is he doing?
He doesn't know this about this dropship. There's nothing in the main, I don't think, right now. These three Vultures are going to get so much damage in the main base. All the units have run up. Some Lings are popping out, but they're not going to help that much. Already two drones have gone down. The drone line does get evacuated. Meanwhile, the Lings are trying to minesweep all the way to the natural Sharp to maybe put some pressure on at the front. There is yet a bunker to be made, so maybe you could delay that and put on some pressure, maybe kill these Marines. Some mines are being laid down to stall this out. There are speedlings now going to be mine dragging into the Marines. Take out one of the Marines. There's another mine that goes down. There's still 3 Marines left alive. The bunker will just barely finish in time. Looks like Saber trying to pick off one of those Marines just before the bunker finishes. So only now 1 Marine in the bunker, but there is lots of drones going down the natural for Saber. So many kills. One of these kills, 7, 2, and 4 on these Vultures thus far. So an absolute insane amount of kills, as so many drones and Lings have gone down, and more drones are going to be falling and biting the dust as these Vultures rain down fragmentation grenades onto these poor helpless drones. Some Lings going to be coming out to try and delay and buy time with Aspire just now finishing, but so much damage has been done to Saber. It's really critical at this point. I don't think he can recover.
Yeah, at this point, is there any chance of coming back from here? I don't think so, especially with more Vultures running in here to the natural. He's going to pick off even more drones. What do we got so far with drones? Only 6 remain, 5 now. Total drone count here for Saber. Just incredibly low. He's going to pop out 2 mutas, and I think GG out the moment he reaches his opponent's base and sees the fences. There's just nothing left. 1 drone. We have 1 drone. Saber's still in this game. What is going on?
Yeah, it's like that Zerg. Oh, he takes down the science vessel. That's one little hope for Saber, I guess. If there's no anti-air, maybe something can happen. He hasn't yet started turrets, but there's only 2 mutas, so there's not much DPS here. And there is 1 Marine going to be helping stall this out a little bit. Saber desperately trying to pick off some of these SCVs and now focus down the Marine, but all Sharp has to do is just morph like 2 or 3, 4 turrets at a time, and Saber going to be GG out.
Yeah, if he had like 8 mutas there, maybe there was a chance, but with just 4, Saber forced to tap. Sharp is going to continue on here his spree with his incredibly aggressive style, taking down multiple strong players in Sharp and Saber. I think this is the first time we've seen Saber in the KCM, but it's unfortunate that he went out that way. That's one of the most painful ways to go down in Zerg versus Terran, is to get pulled apart by vultures. It really, I mean, as a Zerg player, I've been in that situation so many times where you lose a couple of drones to the bunker rush, and then drops or vulture run-bys end up killing a bunch of your drones. It just feels so nasty. Even though the Terran's on one base, their power in their tank is just so strong, and yeah, just not able to bring it back. So Saber's knocked out. We're gonna go on to our next one. It's either, or it's gonna be Best versus Sharp, actually. We'll see if Sharp can stand up to this amazing player. The Protoss lineup this week pretty lacking, I feel, with Paralyze and Shuttle thrown in there, but Best is incredibly good, absolutely capable of taking Sharp down. We'll find out if he's going to be able to do that coming right up. A bit of a quick one there, that last game, Sharp versus Saber. We're now spawning on Heartbreak Ridge with Best in the center right, Sharp in the center left. This map's been around for a very long time, and it can lead to some really great, interesting and innovative play in PVT, excuse me, which we've seen lately from many. I wonder if any of those strategies are going to be influencing Best here.
I really don't think so. Just knowing Best's style, he doesn't mix it up too much with that kind of thing. So I think we will just see a forward gateway Zealot pressure, gas steel into gateway man. You know, one to two control groups of dragoons, and then a flood of zealots to try and overwhelm the Terran positions, with eventually getting speed shuttles and high Templar support for storms.
Yeah, Best does what he does, and you know, it's very difficult to copy what someone like Mini is capable of doing. His timings, his overall game knowledge and understanding of positions is so incredibly strong. I don't know if Best is willing to incorporate some of those wilder, more, you know, innovative moves that Mini's able to pull out. And yeah, you're probably right. He'll just go for a more standard play and try to run him over with zealots in the mid game. That's kind of the way that Best likes to play, and there's not really any reason, not any really good reason for him to kind of switch up or deviate from that style. But personally, for me, I loved the game with Mini. Oh, who was it versus again on this map last week or the week before?
Was it Royal or was it someone else?
I cannot remember, but it was so incredibly close. That was the one with the proxied Reaver right over there at the bottom left. And the Terran player pushing across the map. Those Reavers kept coming in and getting kills, but then also there was another map game with Mini as well on this map against Terran, where the positions were reversed and he mined out that mineral patch and kept putting Dragoons in the back. He managed to win that one.
Yeah, that was a really good game. Nice Marine Micro from Sharp, going to be forcing the Zealot out of the base, and it looked like a really nice engineering blade block is going to upset Best's exact plan of action, but he did sneak down with the probe to start mining out this back mineral to maybe open up another line of attack later on, to put on some pressure as well going into the early mid-game phase. So it would be interesting to see if he can make use of this. He has currently not thrown down his Nexus, so probably going to be trying to get into the natural and confirm the CC timing. Doesn't see it just yet. Sharp hasn't quite got the 400 minerals required to throw it down, but we'll be throwing it in a moment. Actually, I don't think he did. Did he just put down did he just throw down the factory first? Yeah, he's going to. Okay, I thought he was going for a second. They're going to be taking a really fast command center, but instead it's going to be throwing down the factory in a very standard way.
The factory going down here. Nexus gonna follow shortly for Best, but trying to do something here. What is he actually doing? Oh, he's trying to jump over with the probe. Oh, not able to get it. The focus fire from the Marine on the probe. Very smart play from Sharp, denying that glitch over the mineral patches. And best,
yeah, it would have been really funny to see it though, right? Seeing the Zealot just jump over the mineral patch and start being a little bit of a thorn in Sharp side.
Yeah, for sure. Now he's going to bring down a Dragoon and hopefully clear out that Marine and then maybe get back to mining that mineral again. He is bringing a probe up, so he is planning to do that. And his Nexus is pretty late. It just went down. So he's got some plans here for Sharp's base. He's gonna try and get behind here somehow, some way.
Yeah, and Sharp elected to kill his gas with 2 SCVs like he's been doing. So I guess he is a little bit concerned about some pressure coming out. He doesn't want to be risking a bunker expand in these situations. He's gonna be running forward and guns down the probe before it can even get away. So nice little execution there from Sharp. Going to be denying any more shenanigans happening in that bottom left, at least for the time being.
Really well done there. Just completely shutting down that play with just a simple move, bringing those 4 Marines up and quickly gunning that down. Really removes the options here for Best to do any damage from that high ground, at least for now, at least until he gets a shuttle out. I guess all these players have been watching the KCM games and witnessing what happened with Mini in that previous game has left a scar in the minds of the Terran players. They really need to control that area, make sure that that doesn't get mined out. Taking quite a bit of damage on this Dragoon. That was a mistake.
Yeah, nice little skirmish from Sharp there, taking a few shots on that Dragoon with the tank is definitely going to soften them up and make it a little bit riskier for them to come in and maybe try and snipe the siege tank on top of the bunker. We do have another probe coming down here. Again, is he just going to expand down here, or is he actually going to come in for another play? Looks like he's going all the way down into the bottom right with that probe, so not going to be doing any more shenanigans, at least for the time being. Maybe thinking about taking a quicker third base here as he goes into Reaver tech. Yeah, I think so.
The option of taking this base in the bottom right, it feels dangerous to me. What do you think about that as opposed to taking the top right?
I like it a little bit more in a way because it does stop the Terran from being able to not only contain your rally point but also lay siege to your third base at the same time, so kind of forcing the Terran to split his focus by having to come down into the bottom right of the map, kind of force the Terran out of position to maybe open up some counterattack options. And some vultures getting into the natural, trying to run by. 2 do make it into the main base and going to be laying mines in the choke point and then trying to get some probes. But meanwhile, some tanks and the goons are going to be trading. 1 tank does go down while both players are distracted. And Vulture's getting into main base, getting a few probe kills. I don't think he's lost too many probes, but this is still pretty good damage. A little bit lost mining time and attention. Oh, attacking his own pylon. Best is a little bit of a flustered situation. Not quite on top of things as he accidentally 8 clicks onto that pylon. And Dragoon going to be eating a mine outside the gateway and then natural expansion. More probes starting to go down for Sharp. It's actually looking pretty dangerous right now. Like Best is kind of falling apart a little bit. Didn't anticipate this happening. And now with these 3 mines laid down in the natural, going to be trying to get on top of the Vulture with the probes instead to try and fight the back. But another Vulture is coming in. There's also a Vulture on the high ground skirmishing up there as well. And the Reaver going to be coming out. Oh,
yes! Mine! Taking out so many probes! Saying.
No, my God. Oh, that was one of the biggest probe mine connections we have ever seen in KCM. Wow. That's such a big swing here for Sharp. I was gonna say that Sharp, these type of situations are where he absolutely thrives. When things are down and dirty and, you know, the Protoss players being stretched to the max, both players are having their APM taxed. That's when the Vultures become so incredibly powerful, laying down mines when you're not completely paying attention and getting those connections off. It's just so powerful, and Sharp did an excellent job of capitalizing on that really wild situation. Able to get those mines in the natural, able to get Vultures by into the main, able to kill the Dragoons on the map. Everything went his way, and now Best limping so hard right here. He's got a very low count on probes, and Sharp is ready for the kill. 4 factory push is coming up very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Best to hang on here. He was down 20 supply when that attack was all said and done. So much losses for Best to have to try and weather and see if he can make it out of this storm. Sharp looking like in a very commanding position, going to be throwing down some armories of that as well to be getting his upgrades, but will be wanting to put on some pressure with this 4 factory timing. Is that 4 factories or 5? Okay, 4, okay, yeah. So it's going to be still a pretty aggressive push coming out of Sharp here, but he also has tech options from getting that really fast starport. Has the Wraith as well to kind of mitigate some of the shuttle's versatility. Ooh, might get this observer if Best is not careful. Yes, does get the observer. Great little pick off for her Sharp there. The observer just barely in the turret's range. Has some vultures also coming out onto the map, doing a bit of a distraction and harassment, getting some mines laid for scouting, while this dropship is sneaking all the way around the top part of the map. Going to be sneaking in for even more damage, maybe getting behind the mineral line and then natural, and then dropping a few more vultures into the main base. Could be a lot of damage done to Best as a follow-up here.
Ooh, if there was a tank in this dropship, he could kill so many probes, because you can't see the tank siege up on the high ground, and you won't have any notification until it actually fires its first shot. So if there's a big stack of probes on one of these patches, it would be an insane amount of damage. Here we go. Doesn't see it. He has no idea. There we go. Just now revealing the vultures here on the high ground. Gonna drop 2 more into the main. No tank here, but still a ton of damage is going to go down. Best losing so many probes. Is transferring, but where do you go here? There's vultures on the high ground, there's vultures in the main base. He's going to drop once again. I think the vultures now onto the low ground here, killing so many. Oh my gosh, good handling of this by Best, but just added damage at this moment is so painful because he's already lost so much. It just hurts just that much more.
Yeah, and Best is doing a really good job of kind of pressuring the front with these Reavers, slowing down any potential move outs, but Sharp doesn't really care too much about that. He's sneaked out and like has got this command center going at the 3rd base location already. He's ready to take that. Going to be going into 6 factory production soon with upgrades on the way and transitioning into a much more standard style. Doesn't seem to want to be putting on any pressure. I think he feels that he's done enough damage now that he just needs to expand and turtle up and slowly creep down to this southern threshold and prevent any counterattack from Best. These Reavers' job mainly to slow down the advancement. Ooh, Wraith actually going to get on top of this shuttle, and there's no Dragoons here to save this shuttle right this second. If so, Sharp controls this, might get both of these Reavers and the shuttle for his effort, and I think he is going to get both of them. Yeah, he is. That's really good pick off from Sharp there. Looks like Best in a bit of trouble here, Sam.
Oh, it's going to get the tank. Okay. Does trade out for Dragoon, but good moves there by Best to keep those Dragoons active on the map and take advantage of Sharp pushing forward to try and pick off those Reavers. The Wraith really paying for itself this game. It did get taken out during that engagement, but you know, it picked off some early... Oh no, it's actually still alive. There it is, right there. Thought that actually went down, but it managed to kill the shuttle. It managed to kill a couple of observers as well. So a really good investment there by Sharp. He's putting mines behind this army. If he starts to push this, if he unsieges everything and starts to push, those Dragoons could walk backwards into a bunch of mines here. It would be really, really bad for Best.
Well, he took out those 2 Reavers and shuttles, so like a lot of Best's utility was kind of like disabled there, so it would be really hard for him to slow down the push. But it looks like Sharp's identified his position in this game, and I think he understands that attacking would also be kind of playing into Best's hands and maybe like flipping the tables a little bit. So instead he's just going to really turtle hard for a while and just wait for his upgrade timings. Even going to be making a little bit of a wall down here at the 3rd base location with some supply depots, making a bit of a wall. We've seen Flash do this kind of style on this map before in the past, although I've also seen Flash wall off entire segments of the map, like this entire lane to the north. I've seen him wall off that from left to right with a huge massive wall of depots. You can really tell hard on this map as Terran if you want to, if you feel threatened by a more aggressive standard style of Protoss where they want to kind of fight you in the middle of the map and try and surround and swallow up your tanks.
It's like another drop moving around the outside. That was the drop that wasn't killed earlier on in the game. He's going to sense these Dragoons, sees the Dragoons moving down from the north there, and could slip by with the dropship now, although there is a pylon in position to spot this. as it comes around the map. Got lots of vultures out here, kind of skirmishing with the Dragoons here. He's going to pick off that probe as well, as preventing that base from going up over here at the top right, and keeping on the similar base count to best at this point is a really big victory for the Terran player. It's currently 3 base to 3 base, and that's fantastic. Gonna pick up this. Oh! Oh, I thought he was gonna get a huge amount of probes there. Oh my god, the Dragoons! Walking right into those mines. So painful. Tank drop here. Gonna help to push these Dragoons back and get his maximum damage. I can't believe how many Dragoons he's killing right now. This is insane.
He's losing so many Dragoons right now. I mean, he's actually
the tank. Okay,
he's managed to like get a little bit ahead of in supply. Like he was down for a while, and now he's finally trickling ahead of Sharp. But this is really not a great position. He's lost so many Dragoons to these mines and harassment. His 4th base has been delayed exponentially. Like only just now throwing down the Nexus is best at 15 minutes. Never a position you want to be in. Like, the normal 4 base timing is around 10 minutes in PvT. So a 5-minute late 4th base is going to be really hurting him in his production here. More mines being laid down outside the natural, harassing the Zealot line. There's not many Dragoons here to fight these vultures, so Sharp able to skirmish and take out some of these Zealots while distracting Best and getting around the back of the base of another 2 vultures. Oh, nice little pylon wall, going to be denying the vultures getting an angle on shooting these probes. I don't think he can shoot from that very edge there, so I think looks like it has going to be mitigated a lot of the damage coming in from those vultures, at least for the time being, but it's a really precarious situation for Best. Sharp is looking so strong in this game.
Yeah, and I like what you said earlier about taking the bottom right base. It forces the Terran, as you said, to push in different locations, but it's also forced Best to keep a bunch of Dragoons down at the bottom center. So once he lost his Dragoon force up here in the top left, or top right, excuse me, it made it really hard for him to hold on and take that base over in the top right. So that's been a bit of a detriment or a downside to having the base first taken down in the bottom right. He's going to pick off this dropship, which is nice. Dropship being picked off there. It's very good stuff for Bez. He's going to drop a ton of Zealots on these tanks. Most of them are not sieged up, though, so not getting the maximum damage. Oh, the Storm! Really good, but the Zealot number is kind of low at this moment. Not a lot of Vultures as well, though, and this rally of Zealots going to get on top of a lot of these tanks. Best taking a reasonable trade overall against this kind of overwhelming force of tank Vulture. Surprising amount of damage coming out here for Best, and Sharp, I don't think he can push forward against this. This is scary. There's going to be another round of Zealots here in a second. He has to back away. Maybe try to take that 6 o'clock.
He's gonna take some vulture raids out to the 4th base location and do some damage this way. He knows he can't push for now. One thing you can do on this map is actually expand to the left of the 6 o'clock, so your kind of CC is tucked in even more. So you're kind of slightly long distance mining it to make it harder for the Protoss to come in and harass that base and snipe off the command center. Looks like Best going to be continuously harassing the tank line of Sharp, being very active as much as he can be, knowing that he's a little bit behind in the economic game state, but has done a good job of reducing that tank count so far. Looks like Sharp is wanting to take this 6 o'clock base and getting a little bit access to some more minerals so that he can flood with more Zealots, flood with more Vultures to kill Zealots and load up the map with mines and try and be as cost efficient as possible. He is slowly creeping his way across the map while harassing, but Best doing a good job of also cleaning out the mines on the northern side of the map and maybe opening up this another line of a counterattack, leading to Best natural.
I really like what Sharp is doing here by setting up some tanks on the high ground and some tanks on the low ground. Whoa, what the hell just happened there? Did you see that tank die? I don't know what that died from, but that was a little bit funny. Setting up tanks on the high ground and the low ground means that Best, with his style of mostly just Gateway Army Zealot, trying to run down these tanks, it's going to be very hard for him to attack both of those locations. If he attacks the high ground, the low ground tanks are going to get a lot of free shots. If he attacks the low ground, the high ground tanks are getting a lot of free shots as well. The turrets there in the middle are going to prevent some of those shuttles from dive bombing these tanks here, and Sharp has secured this base without too much trouble, netting him 4 bases and bringing him once again to even base count with Best.
Yeah, the only thing that would be like a real big issue for Sharp right now was like recalls into the main. But I think he understands that that's not going to be coming for at least some time. He understands best style. He knows what he's up against right now. A lot of his commitment is in the 6 o'clock location. If there was recalls or a 4-man's recall of vultures coming in to the natural, going to be trying to sneak some kills on those High Templars, but wisely best getting them picked up in the shuttle, going to be preventing too many losses. There's a lot of Dragoons coming in behind, so Sharp is bleeding off a lot of these vultures, maybe potentially leaving him open to a threatening counterattack from Best. If you do bleed off too many vultures, it can be a trigger for the Protoss to try and find an engagement somewhere, knowing that you haven't got enough supply to clean up the Zealots.
Absolutely, and Sharp is getting very close to this bottom right. He needs to push just a little bit farther outside of his 4th base to actually deny this base, but every moment that goes by here, Best is mining out more of those minerals. Remember, that was the 3rd base location, so he's been mining that for quite a long time. He hasn't taken the gas, and I don't think he's planning to take that either. But the more minerals he can suck out of this location, the better it is for him in the long run. Eventually, he will expand all the way up to the top left and take that base as well. But for now, just getting rid of these minerals in the bottom right, which Sharp, he's eventually going to take that base if this game goes into the late game. That's just beneficial all around for Best.
Yeah, another good thing about taking this bottom right as his 3rd is that it will become mined out quicker, so if he does lose it, it's not as valuable of a base for Sharp to take from him in total later on in the game if the game does get a bit crazy and split map like that. Looks like Best is going to be trying to move down forward into the middle and clean out some of these mines and put on a bit of pressure at the front and kind of spread Sharp a little bit thin, kind of pulling some of these forces out into the middle as well as that 6 o'clock. But it looks like Sharp has made up his mind. He wants to go for this base in the bottom right. We got 2 science vessels for support. We have quite a few control groups of siege tanks sitting behind this, going to be inching his way forward, kind of boxing these Dragoons in and forcing them to engage. There's no really way they can run unless they kill their own pylons, so all those Dragoons going to be mopped up. There's a lot of blue blood there, and not the royal kind. So now Sharp going to be laying siege to this base in the bottom right and kind of forcing Best to respond, but there's a 200 max Terran army and you can't really fight this head on, and these vultures going to be running into the D-Matrix and sniping off the High Templar. That could slow down this push, so far Sharp doing a really good job of starting to crack open this position as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, and I just kind of question the efficacy of the idea here from Best, keeping a small contingent of army down here for Sharp to kind of just crush against that pylon wall. You step forward, the Dragoons unable to retreat, just get completely destroyed for basically no cost from Sharp. And I feel like that army would have been much better out on the map, just kind of looking around, you know, gathering up for a later counterattack where you can hit maybe into the natural, maybe down into the 6 o'clock or somewhere else, but not just thrown away at that location. On the plus side though, Best, he has managed to mine out the majority of the minerals in that bottom right. As you could see, the mineral patches are getting very, very low. I wouldn't expect them to be more than 500 per patch, and that means that Sharp's gonna have to look for expansions elsewhere. On the plus side for Sharp, the middle of the map is really only a tenable position for Terran to mine from. Once you get a lot of turrets and tanks set up in that area, you can definitely hold that spot and try to mine those double gases in the middle of the map. But Best, meanwhile, he's gonna take top left. He's already got top center, and he's going to try and continuously break this from different locations. Yeah, big EMP there.
Yeah, really nice play from Sharp. I love the way he's being so tentative about this push. He's really just inching his way forward, taking little by little, and he's ready to get maximum value out of his utility unit, still EMPing more and more High Templars as the Zealots now start to stream in. It looks like Best also now desperately trying to unload his High Templars and Zealots on top of these siege tanks. Some beautiful storms are going down, but there's such a huge tank line down here. I don't know if he can ever crack that. So many of his units are being bottlenecked into the geometry of this map, and Best is going to say GG.
Yeah, Best hanging on there for quite a long time, even though his early game was pretty rough. pretty darn rough with all those vultures getting in and killing an immense number of probes. He still managed to hang on for a good amount of time, but you got to give it to Sharp there. He took his time. He really made sure that he wasn't gonna let Best back into that game. The slow, tentative pushing and careful, considered actions there from Sharp lead him to basically a guaranteed victory, with the center of the map being taken and that position almost impossible to break, especially when you're trying to force a bunch of zealots to that tight little corridor. Very nicely played by Sharp. We're going to jump on to our possibly final game of the night. It's Sharp versus Soma. And, oh God, I hate to say it, but Protoss going out first again, continuing the pattern here, that dead flat line with 0 points in the season here in week number 6. That is painful, man.
Oh, it's seriously painful. We need to see a bit of life in the Protoss team eventually.
Yeah, they need to bring out a stronger lineup, I think. Even though, you know, we got Sharp, we got Saber, players that aren't as well known, aren't as storied as some of the other, you know, A tier players, S tier players in this lineup. I think that the Protoss need to cheat, just bring out Snow and and Best every single week, because they just haven't gotten any points, man. What is going on? Snow, they need Snow, Best, Mini. I think that needs to be the lineup.
Mini is a pretty good lineup.
Anyway, we're gonna jump into our next one. Match number 7 here in week 5 of the KCM. It's come down to once again Zerg versus Terran, as it has in every week so far. But we are here on Nemesis cross positions with Sharp versus Soma. I'm expecting a Soma win here. Soma's been so powerful lately, and he's playing on his barcode account, his ladder account that I've casted a lot recently. And this map specifically, he's shown some really interesting cool play. I think we did that one together. Am I right, Shin?
Yeah, we did. He definitely has been doing some really cool plays on this map. It might be hard for him if Sharp does want to go for a mech switch and control the center later on, but Soma's such a good player, I'm sure he'll find a way of navigating his way around something like that out of Sharp. Going to be seeing a very standard 12 hatchery play into a fast command center from Sharp, I imagine, so nothing too crazy in the early game phase. And what's your prediction for this map? Do you think we're going to be seeing a longer game with the middle being taken with a mech switch? Do you think we're going to be seeing some interesting Guardian play along the sides of the map, abusing the geography here, or what do you expect to happen in this game, Sam?
Well, for those of you who haven't seen that game that we casted, I think it was about a week ago, we saw Soma take a very fast 4 base on this map and go into Guardians. Now, I'm really excited to see if he's going to take a quick 3rd here, then it'll lead into a quick 4th, because it seems so powerful, so difficult to beat. Even Light wasn't able to take it on directly. Had a really hard time struggling against that play. So Soma, it's been tried and tested, but does he feel confident using it here in KCM with money on the line? I'm not sure.
He's doing a 2.5 hatch build right now, getting like a 12 hatch, 12 pool, 12 gas. So he does have the minerals to build that 3rd hatchery pretty soon, and could be throwing that down on location at one of these bases to kind of be doing a similar build that he was doing in that game with the fast 4 base Guardian style. So could be going for that here with this 2.5 hatch style. Still going to be putting on a little bit of a drone harass at the front of Sharp. Drone doing some excellent moving shot to keep catching the SCV as every time it turns away, getting it down to I think 15 HP, even though he lost some HP on that drone. So unfortunately for him, wasn't able to keep track of the SCV to catch it on the way back to his natural and getting the kill, but getting it down on such low HP already, going to be making it much easier for him to clear up that scout and denying the scouting in his main base to figure out exactly what build Soma's going to want to go for. He does try to intercept the SCV with another drone, but not able to do so. Unfortunately for Soma here, needs to be denying this SCV scout at all costs if he can get away with it.
Here we go. He's gonna get one more shot, and down it falls. Keeping that SCV out of the main base is a pretty big deal here, because he doesn't really get much information at all from just seeing the natural At least he knows that it's not a Ling all-in. That's pretty much all he knows at this moment. The third base will be going down on location, or the third hatchery being placed here in the top center. A quick base from Soma, but on this map, it's definitely doable. And like we said, it's possible to go up to 4 base here. We'll see if he wants to go for that. That's it's going to be really exciting if he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's gearing up to do something similar to that. At least he's taken his everything looks very standard right now for 2.5 patch. Time will tell when he does decide to throw down that hatchery. He has got something moving out to the 3 o'clock already. I think that might be a drone, so he might be looking to take this 4th base just like he did in that other game. It'll be very interesting to see if he goes for more or less the very identical style to that and go for those Guardians. He is cross map position, so I'm not sure it favors that as much. I'm not sure how that pans out for him, or how he wants to navigate with this cross map positions on Nemesis. I'm curious to see. He is getting that 4th base on location, like we said, so I want to see how he tries to go forward from here.
There it is, that 4th base. So exciting to see, guys. This is why you have to come over and watch our replay cast as well on the channel. You get some background information. These guys are testing out builds on the ladder that they're planning to use in tournaments like KCM, like ASL, and that's kind of where they're developed, right? That's where they're tested, and now we're gonna see it in full force here. And how Sharp can react to this. What is he gonna do to try and take down this base here? Looks like he's gonna go right for the eggs, but unfortunately for him, oh no, he's not gonna go for the eggs. He's just taking a look over here, maybe looking for an overlord. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, that's
definitely wouldn't have enough time to kill those eggs before the mutas would eventually get on top of him, even though we do see the very delayed mutas out of Soma. He's going for the really fast 4th base with economy, so making mostly drones here. So, and it looks like Sharp also called his bluff a little bit. He made some fairly late turrets as well, identifying the slightly delayed mutas, so we'll be getting just bare minimal amount of turrets, just barely in the nick of time. So Sharp has kind of aligned his build fairly nicely with this, but I doubt he understands that there's a 4th base at the 3 o'clock right this second. I don't know if I doubt he's scanned that yet.
Yeah, I doubt as well. And the SCVs have been picked off so efficiently this game that he really hasn't had an opportunity to scout those locations. We got 900 gas in the bank for Soma, as he's just continuing to drone up here. His 3rd gas is coming online. His 4th gas will be coming up soon. And that's just going to have so much gas income here to work with, that those Guardians are going to come out very, very quickly. If that is indeed the plan, he could also go for Ultra here. Either way would be good. I don't see any Evo chamber though. I'm really feeling a Guardian transition here. I think that's probably going to be the play.
I think so. I mean, look how many gas he's taking. He's taking all 4 of the gases. I'm fairly certain it's going to be Guardians. If it was going to be Ultras, we would have seen an Evo chamber thrown down at least within the last minute or so, I believe. So the fact that he hasn't thrown down an Evo chamber does telegraph Guardians really heavily right now.
There's that Queen's Nest at the front. All he needs to do is protect this one area, just the natural area. If he picks off some of these assimilators, which I'm surprised that he hasn't decided to do yet. Picking off the assimilators just kind of eliminates the ability for Sharp to break into either of these 2 locations and forces him to try to ram a bunch of Marines right up this this choke here, this natural area, and that plays right into the hands of Soma, who's going to have a ton of Guardians on the high ground, raining down shots on those Marines. So surprising that he's not going to take those out just yet. He's actually going to kill this egg. How long does it take a single Marine to kill an egg? I don't even want to imagine.
Quite a few minutes, so I imagine probably like a good 6 or so minutes to kill one egg. One thing that we should note is that Sharp did scan the natural and the 3 o'clock, and now has scanned the 12 o'clock as well. So now Sharp is fully aware of what's going on.
Oh
he
my
knows
god!
The 4 base time.
Second Spire.
Yeah.
Why he's gonna go double upgrades with Greater Spire?
Well, do you know what I thought he was going to do? Just a moment ago, I thought he might make a second spire to morph the Greater Spire at a different location, so that when the main got scanned, he wouldn't see the Greater Spire being morphed. I thought that would also be an interesting play, as well as getting the access to the double grades. I wonder if that was the original plan or not.
Well, whether it was the original plan or not, Sharp has scouted it now. He knows that there's gonna be Greater Spire for sure. You're not gonna go double Spire and then not get a Greater Spire. That makes no sense at all. There's a ton of Mutilas flying into the main now. He's eaten up 2 of those Irradiates, and this is a lot of turrets, but so many Mutilas flying in. It will end up backing away, though, as the Science Missiles come down with that Irradiate and brings forward some Marines as well. There are going to be so many Guardians out here in another minute or two. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's going to have double upgrades on them as well, so it's going to get really crazy really quickly. I think Sharp will identify that he needs to do something soon, so we'll be trying to gain some map control. You definitely do want to force the hand of the Zerg to have to fight out in the open and maybe try and intercept the Guardians from being morphed as much as possible. It is very difficult to do this on this map, though, with the way the island bases are kind of positioned. We do see a hatchery being taken at the 9 o'clock location for Soma here. So what could be really interesting is if he later on decides to use that as a Nidus Canal, the opportunity to get Defiler down into the bottom left of the map in a sneaky way. He wants to continue on from Guardians into a more standard tech.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And diving in here with, I think, 2 groups of Mutas, or is this just 1 group of 11?
I think it might be 2, or at least 1.5. Yeah, it's 2 stacks. I don't know how big both stacks are, but it was more or less 2 control groups of Mutas.
And he's gonna find some science vessels heading down here, continuing to get good irradiates, but Soma likewise pulling those out, keeping the majority of these enemies alive. He's gonna catch a vessel here. That was a really nice catch. Pull that irradiate out. Oh god, that was a lot of damage.
Yeah, also snagging some of those naked marine kills there. Didn't have any medic support. Has got some Scourge hunting and patrolling around for some vessels as well. You need to be really on top of your pathing as Terran here and making sure your vessels aren't flying ahead of your army. And he did make the Greater Spire at the 12 o'clock to hide it like I thought he might. Yeah, I think that was the original plan all along, to go double grades and also hide the Greater Spire by doing it that way. I really like that play from Soma. It's a nice idea. And a huge amount of Guardians being morphed at the 9 o'clock position, while Sharp moving into the natural of Soma to try and put on some pressure. There is a dropship as well to start elevatoring into the high ground position to put on some pressure and mitigate the sunken force at the front. And ooh, huge Scourge fleet just going to swipe in and take out that dropship anyway, denying any elevator play coming out of Sharp here, only investing in that 1 dropship that I can see thus far, so not going to be able to bypass these sunkens for the time being.
That was super worth for Sharp, or for Soma, excuse me, as well. He has to break through this sunken line now, and look at this. This is just ridiculous. There's so many sunkens here. He's building more. He's breaking through slowly, but the Marine count is thinning out, and those Guardians are coming into the main. They're really going to start to wreak havoc here. More sunkens are finishing up. We've got a few Guardians about to pop out here. This is becoming almost impossible. Yeah, this is becoming almost impossible for Sharp now. How does he win from here? He's lost almost all of his Marines, and he just has nothing to deal with this Guardian army. He's gonna have to bring back a ton of Marines. He's gonna have to probably make a bunch of Wraiths as well.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can really do is cloak Wraiths here and hope that there's no detection nearby. That will slow down the onslaught from Soma for the time being, but there has been fairly critical damage done to him already. Soma's done enough that he can also transition into a more normal game here. Ooh, nice vessel snipe and Muta split from that Radiate as well. Soma really on top of things here. We do have the first 2 Wraiths going to be coming in, start dealing damage against these Guardians, but the Muta's already here to support, so the Wraiths are going to be shut down until Cloak is done. So now the Guardians have kind of free reign for the time being, getting on top of the Terran production, picking up any Marines that are coming out of these barracks. Only 3 barracks production as well, so not really many Marines coming out, just a trickle. A few Irradiates going to be going down onto these Guardians to soften them up, so we're going to be splitting those off from the force and moving that Guardian forward to get maximum value out of his units. Here comes the Cloaked Wraith base to finally start doing some real damage on top of these Guardians. Marines coming in to help with that as well, starting to thin out the crowd, but still Mutas raining down some glaives onto these Marines and preventing them from getting maximum surface area and damage onto the Guardians. The Guardians do finally get cleaned up by the race, but I think the damage has already been done so far for Soma. Currently has 5 bases, with this 5th base at the 9 o'clock already mining gas. All of his Mutas are getting picked off one at a time by these cloaked wraiths, so far Sharp is going to see some kind of air superiority, but he's not even mining his main gas right now. He's really struggling.
Yeah, no mining on the main gas. He's lost a bunch of barracks. He lost one of his evo chambers, or his engineering bays as well. Looks like these areas have been killed off. The assimilators there at the top center and the center right have been killed, so Sharp actually can't break through either of those locations anymore unless he brings some drop chips. Bunch more Muta's gonna fly in here. There's a lot of irradiate though ready for them, and he's gonna shove this all back, but that +2 armor really helping out the Mutas to fight here. Is going to be able to fall back now that they've lost some health. Maybe morph some more Guardians as well. It seems like though there is a transition with the Evo chambers finishing and the Hydralisk Den coming out here. It seems that Soma is eventually going to switch into some sort of Hydralisk play, and now he's actually revealed this base here at the center left, and he's gonna maybe lose his Nidus Canal. That's not good. He wants to keep that alive, start to pop through some units there. Oh, it's gonna go down.
That's actually a really huge pickup from Sharp now, because he can just start gunning down these eggs and make his way into the 9 o'clock uncontested. It'll take a long time to warp in another Nidus Canal there. He has got all the other bases linked up with Nidus Canals, but not this 9 o'clock base. He is desperately trying to throw down Sunkens to try and hold this position. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. There's 2 science vessels and about 2 control groups of Marines and a few medics. There is Sunkens barely morphing in time. If there's D-Matrix energy though, it's going to be really hard for these Sunkens to hold on. So far, Sharp going to be moving it to start gunning down the Sunken that's already finished. There is a Hydra and some Mutas to help out a little bit, and the rest of the Sunkens are actually going to finish up before he can start doing critical damage to those Sunkens. So actually going to hold on to this position at the 9 o'clock for the time being, and also going to morph in some Guardians here.
With the morphing of the Guardians as well, this place becomes absolutely unbreakable. It's amazing that Soma has been able to get away with this many bases, with 5 bases, and only producing 2 sunken lines going Guardian. It really speaks to the map and the layout, the structure here, that he's been able to do that, to get away with that low level of defense and such a high amount of gas. Now he's switching into the most cost-efficient strategy here that you can possibly imagine for Zerg. Hydralisk Defiler, that's going to be coming out en masse here very soon with 1,000 minerals in the bank, 1,000 gas. He can make so many units and really start to flood the map with those Hydralisks, and I don't know if Sharp can hold on. The only benefit he has right now, the only advantage I feel, is the earlier upgrades here, because Soma was focusing on the air upgrades for so long. His ground grades aren't going to be nearly as on time as they would be regularly if you're just going straight up into a Hydralisk play.
It's very true. One thing that will supplement that a little bit is that Soma did kill the engineering bay before the upgrade could finish, so he did slow down the upgrades of the Terran a little bit, but he is still going to be behind on the upgrade curve on the infantry, so it's definitely something to consider. He will be having such a huge, powerful army, though, in terms of how sheer quantity of units. So even though he's not got the Carapace upgrade yet, he still has just a crap ton of units, lots of Hydralisks with upgrades, and Lurkers moving down to the southeast threshold. It might get sandwiched from both sides, though. Radiate's going down on those Lurkers while the Hydras try and take the high ground away from the Marines and get on top of them and start mowing them down. And there's only 1 medic here, so there's not really a lot of healing, so he can focus down a lot of these Marines, and the Lurker's going to be coming in to help make short work of that, but wasn't able to break the position completely. So far, Sharp going to be hanging on to this 3-base economy for the time being, while also taking the 6 o'clock to try and replace the mined out bases in his natural and main soon. So he's hanging on in the game thus far, but now with Defilers coming out and this huge Nidus Canal network that's established on this map already, like Soma's actually can launch an assault into the main base with Defilers now that wait, can Defilers fit through with 1 gas being killed or not?
I actually don't know. That's a good question. They may not be able to. And that will be very important here in this game, kind of surprisingly. I don't think that's something that we see very often, but could be a major factor here. And Sharp's taking a lot of bases. He's taking 6, he's taking the bottom right, and shutting down that first move out from Soma, actually a really big important moment. And this next attack, it looks like it's going to be even less successful, I think. Actually, hold on, a lot of the lurkers getting burrowed underground, and they managed to get their volleys off, so Sharp not pulling back in time. He's losing a lot of his vessels as well. Uh-oh. Sharp's starting to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing he's got going for him is that he had quite a sizable fleet of vessels, and there wasn't yet plagues to worry about, so he had that going for him for the time being, but now has had this vessel count thinned out a little bit. I think there's like 5 or 6 vessels raining, another one going down as well, so definitely not going to be good for him in his position. There is some Marines coming from behind to try and help get this Hydras out of the way, but he's getting on top of all of the vessels and the bunkers before they can even finish, so it looks like he will be breaking this position open. I think that's going to be it for Sharp, at least for the time being, unless he can clear up this force right now. He needs to defend this base desperately. Looks like there's loads of lurkers morphing in front of his face while the Defiler tries to come down. Doesn't get in range to cast a Dark Swarm on those eggs, though. If he was able to get a Dark Swarm off on those eggs, that would have been catastrophic for Sharp to have to deal with those lurker eggs, not even be able to be taking damage while morphing in, and then after they finish morphing in, mowing down everything in sight. A few of those eggs might go down and prevent the lurkers from being morphed, but the majority of them will be coming out of those eggs and burrowing right on top of him. And as Soma streams down units, and here comes the burrow, the bunker going to be targetified, instantly pops as well. The Marines from the left side not going to be able to do enough DPS to take out all the lurkers in time before getting killed. He is going to slowly clear up the rest of the lurkers with the remaining bunkers, but so far Soma's able to trade at a cost deficit because he's so far ahead in economy, so it doesn't really matter that he's taking these like slightly inefficient trades. As long as you're just keeping Sharp's army small and preventing him from having any kind of map control, that's going to be king for him to slowly turn this game around in terms of getting his upgrades out and preventing Sharp from utilizing those advantages he had previously with the huge vessel count and upgrades. But he's on 3-2 upgrades right now, so for the time being is in a very strong position. Those Marines are very strong Special Forces Marines until Soma catches up. But he is already on 2-2 on his Hydras, so it won't be long now before Soma will also eclipse him in upgrades as well as production.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Soma that he hasn't grown into the top left just yet. He needs to send a group of Hydra over there to kind of clear that up, but he was so close to actually just beating Sharp straight up there in that last engagement. I can understand the difficulty of, you know, microing all of that and then also trying to think about the future as well. He kills the last couple of vessels. Wow. Dealing with those 2 units is incredibly important, incredibly impactful here. He's going to send a drone finally up to the top left and actually start to take those locations. Sharp is still hanging on here. He's still got bottom right, which is going to give him a lot of longevity here in this game, but now without any without any science vessels and without any wraiths, do you think a tech switch back into Guardians could be good? I feel like the high ground above this is so vulnerable.
Yeah, he could definitely utilize a few Guardians, but the problem is like you said, because he didn't grow any, he didn't really gain any additional gas. So because of that, he hasn't really got enough gas free to do that. He could start cutting in his Lurkers and Scourge and Defilers, but he doesn't really want to have to do that. So it's kind of a weird position for Soma to be in. He's got such a great position, now identifying that he needs to expand and grow just a little bit more to get a little bit more access to gas, especially with now Sharp going to be securing this base in the bottom right. He's going to have access to the other bottom right base main for free, so that's a lot more gas going to be coming online for Sharp as well, so Soma going to have to do his best to keep up with it. The one thing that we can say is that Soma did take both of these side bases, so did get the prerequisite 1 base ahead of the Terran for the late game phase, so he has that going for him at least. In terms of longevity, but like you said, this game could turn around shortly if Sharp can make some plays. Is gonna be moving out onto the map with his force now, and the Defilers are quite weak in the middle, but looks like a little counterattack in the main base for Soma right now.
He's gonna deny another upgrade here. Huge. Denying that upgrade, stopping +3 armor from going down. Hydras here are gonna have 3-3 very soon. He's fighting from the high ground against this really massive force. Finally does get a Dark Swarm down. The Marines are just gonna run through though. Sharp trying desperately to get up here and actually deny this base while a bunch of action is going on down in his main. Does get on top of these with the fire bats here and actually will crack that location. So he may be able to stop one of these bases from going down, but I think with the Hydras following this up and the Plagued Marines and Firebats, they should be getting picked off here relatively soon. The drop play is fantastic from Soma right now, dropping Defilers and Hydras into the main. It's just such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, this unit composition from Zerg is just so cost efficient. The Hydras, the Defilers, it's just really hard for Terran to deal with. And usually the thing that's going for Terran is that they have these really cost efficient Marines, and the Zerg's kind of taking that advantage away from them by throwing their own cost efficient variation up against it, and able to take out these vessels so easily with the Hydras, and if they're plagued, even more easily. So it seems like really hard position for Sharp to have to deal with. He is doing a good job of getting up here into this top left, might be getting the kill on this hatchery as well. Needs to be careful not to use that dropship. A huge flood of units from Soma, though, going to be coming up into this northwest quadrant and clean up the majority of the units. But hopefully, if Sharp can, though, he might be able to get into this top left side and kill these drones and maybe this hatchery too. He is trying to desperately do that, gunning down all the drones that he can. I don't think he's going to get the hatchery, but at the very least, he might get these drones. He shimmies up his Marines. Maybe he can get this hatchery just barely, but I don't think he's going to be able to quite get it.
These are +3 Marines. They deal a lot of DBS, but he's not right-clicking on that hatchery. He's just going to fight with the Hydras. Wow, he's actually winning this fight. And there's no Zergling speed in this game yet. No Zergling speed means that those Zerglings are not really helping out much. Battle Cruiser's coming out here as well. He's mining in the bottom right, and Soma has not been able to clear this out yet. This is getting kind of crazy. Is Sharp going to be able to pull this one out?
Well, battle cruisers are now operational, saying, I mean, anything's possible. If he starts getting these BCs on top of the gas production of Soma, like denying the gas being mined at 9 o'clock, for example, like this could be huge. Slightly siphoning off the gas from Soma could be just what he needs to flip the game on its head. And he has taken out these bases in the top left, denying that additional gas from being mined. So if he does also shut down the gas mining in the 9 o'clock base and some of these other locations, that's going to really reduce the ability for Soma to produce some of these key gas-heavy units that he needs to keep fighting Sharp. Although there's a huge Zerg force in the southeast now going to be moving in. There's only 2 bunkers and a handful of Marines. This looks pretty dicey for Sharp. He's going to be sending the remaining of his forces to try and reinforce the positions, but both bunkers are probably going to go down in short order. There's a few lurkers here to help them mow down any of the Marines that show up from behind as well. So Soma, at the very least, going to be clearing off a lot of this bioforce and reducing the army count of Sharp. But I think Sharp is still in a position where he could hold on here. He has got another bunker at the bottom of the ramp in the bottom right, which is a beautiful play from him to shut down Soma being able to get into the mineral line in the main base in the bottom right and prevent any further damage to his economy there. And the BC is going to be picking off the Nidus canal, the 9 o'clock as well, shutting down any reinforcements from going down there to help out. So it might be able to get the gas away from Soma down there. Time remains to be seen whether or not that will transpire. So far, Sharp has 2,000 gas in the bank, and Soma is just barely getting a trickle right now. So this could be Sharp's game to turn around here, I think.
Coming up to the top left-hand side, there's only one lurker here, and the Nidus is not finished. He really needs to send more reinforcements through here. A Defiler would be a massive... Yeah, just one sunken colony, 2 Hydras, and a single... No, there's actually a stack of lurkers, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. He guns them down really, really quick. Shoots down every single Hydra here, and he's going to kill the Nidus once again, shutting down the mining from Soma. But the mining is likewise shut down here in the bottom right. Sharp not able to do anything with this... with this base down here, and you know, Soma is still mining over in the center left, so I don't know where we're at in this game. This is kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Sharp does have some banked gas, but because he's not mining many minerals right now, this is kind of a weird position. One thing I found really interesting was that Sharp did the thing where he only mined out one side of his 6 o'clock so that he can then mine out the second side. So he is still mining minerals at the 6 o'clock from the right hand side for the time being. So he has got a little bit of a trickle coming in to help spend that gas, but right now needs to be making sure that all of his units and infantry out in the middle of the map get as much cost efficiency as they can, because he won't be able to get many more Marines at this phase in the game. He needs to use these units to secure these bases in the bottom right again and get back to mining, and if he can, also denying any additional bases from being set up from Soma. Soma doesn't even have enough money to set up another base right now, saying he's barely mining at 9 o'clock too. I think waiting for that Nidus to come online to start transferring drones around. It's a really weird situation we have right now.
27 minutes in, we still don't have Ling speed. That is just a crazy
crazy
fact of this game. which has been really back and forth the entire time. Looks like Sharp gonna set up the base in the bottom right. He's been denied from 6 o'clock. He's gonna get a base going though in the bottom right. His army supply is pretty good, and this is a very large marine force that's moving through the middle of the map. But one good plague could absolutely turn the tides here. It's just up to Soma to get that, and he's actually sending a bunch of Hydras down here to the bottom left, and he doesn't have Defiler support. This is going to get surrounded.
He's going to lose these Hydras. Oh no, saying this could be lights out for Soma. He's going to lose all these Hydras, and he's not got much supply behind this, and he's barely mining right now. He will struggle to secure an expansion without the infantry to prevent it being sniped. So I don't know how Soma's going to navigate his way around here. He's got a few skirmishing drop plays, trying to delay the Terran as much as possible and deny mining in the bottom right, but that's being dealt with right now. We have B-Matrix Marines to clear that up. So it's going to be really, really hard, really challenging for Soma to navigate his way in this position, I feel. And it kind of Sharp has free reign on the map, even though he's not mining right now. GG is called from Soma.
GG. Wow. What a game. What a series. What a week of KCM. He gets the clapper. Very, very impressive stuff there from both players. Soma played an excellent game. Sharp likewise holding on and, you know, just gutting it out with that SK Terran style. You can see why it is so powerful, even on a map where the Zerg player is able to get that many bases up and go into such an insane amount of Guardian. SK Terran, it handles everything so incredibly well, and Sharp, he pulls it out in the end, takes out our final Zerg player, and wins this week KCM. All right, week 5 is at an end. Here are your point rankings. Protoss, a completely flat line, continues to be the trend here, with Terran and Zerg going back and forth, winning and losing over and over again, with now Terran in the lead by just 1 point. We'll see who ends up getting ahead in the final weeks here of KCM that's coming up very, very soon, guys. I want to talk a little bit more with you, Shin, about that last game. That was an insane one.
That was a crazy game. I was really surprised that we didn't see more of a committal to the Guardians in the bottom left with some overload speed and maybe a Hydra reinforcement via the Nidus Canal. And he seemed like he set his wing condition really far too heavily on breaking that natural in the bottom right quadrant and not really expanding behind it. And he was behind in upgrades that entire time as well. So it's a bit unfortunate position for him there.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit haphazard the way that he decided to attack the main. You want to have some anti-air there, because it's pretty predictable that your opponent is going to go into cloak wraiths. It's what you do. If you see Guardians attacking you, building a couple of wraiths it's fantastic defense. So not predicting that, having the Nidus in the center left and not utilizing that to bring up Hydras, not getting Overlord speed, all of those were, I think, in my opinion, mistakes that could have been easily remedied and maybe would have ended up with him winning that game, taking out the main base of the Terran. Just shutting down that production there is insanely valuable. It's really lucky, or maybe it's not luck, I don't know. Maybe that was all planned for Sharp, actually having his starports tucked away down in the bottom part of the main base. Because if he had his, imagine if he had his starports up in the top left,
yeah, for sure,
those would have died immediately, and then he would have been in such a bad spot.
Generally speaking, as Terran, the way you lay out your bases is the depots are like off to the side to get out the way, and you tuck in all of your tech buildings as deep in your base as possible, not only to protect them from harass of, like, say the SCV that's building the science facility, like they can't slow down the science facility as easily, but also later on in the game it does prevent them from getting on top of your production, like say the Guardians just mowing down your starports while you're trying to build Valkyries or Wraiths, and like you say.
Yeah, smart moves there by Sharp. Also, yeah, the attack down into the bottom right, it felt a little bit premature because the upgrades were so far behind, and he had such a massive production engine going behind him. Why not secure a couple more bases and just wait for those upgrades to come online before really taking the Terran to task there? But it is what it is. I think that Soma was not interested in going into a really late game with Terran holding the entire bottom side of the map. I don't think that was part of his game plan there, but he really broke the bank trying to break that bottom right and ran out of minerals there a little bit too soon. Unfortunate result for the Zergs. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see a final game. I'll have to put a anti-spoiler here at the end. I'll just throw another game up going backwards here just after the score screen, so don't be confused if you see that. It's just so that nobody looks at the time of the video and gets spoiled for the results. So that's it for today, guys. Any last words, Shun?
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for watching, guys. Great games and enjoyable cast, I'm sure. Cool.
Yeah, and make sure to check out Shun's live stream now on YouTube. I'll put the link down below. You can watch him play some ladder games. You can watch him do some coaching. I'm sometimes in there just messing around, maybe playing some games or whatever we're up to this week. Definitely check it out. I'll see you guys in the next cast. Circle line, a circle seat line, interference, and you was just no gears to Sam Looker, God never. And he did this. Able to what I had so there's no such decent gears tonight, and I hear you off in our even because yeah. Helps out our percentage, even on which is a verven, a little spy.
Säkert jag hade inte mycket det och jag ser väl exakt vad det är som det gäst i postline och ni börs och jag märker det också innan så inne is in that nästa för sig men det små svärt det snart så inne i vad som försöker se det så är det gett så jag inne på som om så det gets inte alla så jag hänger på en aktiv och när det är näst yes, the girls eat with us and other though we should find the gear with us not see us you never went out there so here about so yeah I don't fast born in time so as you don't know that not gonna sleep set to you pass off that so say that's the end of the hour you like need no see it so yes the girls you because they all listen to us you'll see when I'm not long it last the off so in this is I always just so as a little cat post in the exit a little people he loves all as you now all as this so I can know igen and det är nog mer än så över där kan jag så I'm for really say
Healing fantasy that never been done. Lawful medicine that's salary no honey no give me these no suffering this is a meow but the ill off marking a circle and that yeah so still as a ball there and hurry let's say this girl still I see mom extra down it's so funny now circle let's the very stroll of all of funny your ass first that they can get our class and get our seller for your ass first sit there get the under 87 get the on gosh that's it now still I see them still I serve man sitting I must think I see them just national beers new guys they're off my sticks on the lady mail when he had this easy salary very here one not circle line market that in an existence even as well promptly in the stage promptly in the brain is the almost let's see me said that I can't see the black nips to see if there's a salary and I guess no belief in your sign dresser now hurry get see the must that's no no you can get off the mix or seeing if in it so a little bit iller all about what's the I'm gonna get a little spy.
No, I'm just niet lang gestuurd hier, maar zo was het en het is wel wel zo goed ook zo dit op zich ook aan de pakket dus nou was er feet was dus zie het wordt een ding dat zo was er maar niet ik moet zeggen zie dat nou dat mag wordt zo dat is net ja van even ik zo mooi maar zo niet wil precies zo met ja uit voor dat hur försöker med stegen norma han har slitit på väl på sin rockstairs men också men det står väl ut också ut lite då när för det erstus att men det så läs see it's negative första så 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 här now durch and das durch server ops and durch it's ja hui thing is you just working on and you was all you know what say you know he was Nicole Bell was so that's only for the durch das all over it all nein mir gesagt so genau he is in this erste wenn ich close he was so durch and das alles war nein geht was er mein der ja haben wir erst nein ja was ja hier was in das ist hier wenn ich das hier ambition so da in der Welt ist ja das wie also if you even last in die server noch so nein ja you know mir ist nie mit sehen mehr show this happened with the people know and as the album is popping out is and the boy it's jetzt wie him folks jetzt wir noch was ich sage ja
Sure, system ehrlich genug so wieder. No, wir haben nicht so viel. Ja, aber so ja, ich nehme nicht aus, ist es, aber ich sage mir, was ist noch, was soll man leider aus nehmen fangen. Der old master, or he spends sin by near, you see, he's looking at it. Deep stroll of a van that he's after down to the certain Hatsuin and those their old master fucker. It's no weak, yeah, said the nerve, yeah, must get a geese no silk right up, like we've been yours. Reason and actually looks like this after it's a tall like it, and if you just me that, yeah. Hey, Ross, if the man with Starcraft is that's its salary, fair, he is permanently early.
Je moest wel in dat het was op zich dat wij nog niet ja dat wij nou aan zo ja zo shows is ja net dan even dat is nou wel hier was een crack en dat een seven zo dat wel zo niks is zo dat ook ik weet het is en nou dat wist nog weer de leven zo op zo zie dat we aan de vis gaan we weer net zo ja zit wel en niet PS en die volle weer zie wat en je doet die betwijnen first line seller of a horse en dat alles overste dat wel nou niet was en nou ja dan nog niet voor how it's near nou het so wie fijn was ik zei dat en nou niet de sim op daar zo zien nog je wist zelfs dat heb ze nog niet was zo op zich ik zou ik ook dan ik zo in zelfs met dat al dit nooit het ze weet je net was zo
Kramer makes it ja houden is en is een maxi je er als is niet niet is en er veel hebben ik niet los gesteld en al ze die men op zijn met de op net en dan I don't jerks ja maar en rood steer because they go you read I understand the father van hey dan is there maar what's the good get actually sorry your old master as is the number what's this is either red she can be rotten and I get off of neck and the national city so was the name of the job might be a head well you're medical seller I'm afraid yes and I care if you news never going
well so in as you leader one eerste ben ik ze niet weer nee nou dat zijn er echt hebben dat ze niks dat weer en als ik was in de seller FC swear om is jullie zo niet first see if the MC Starcraft is so seen das nach der Musik noch nicht was sein das Paralyze wäre müssen also ich mir nicht eigentlich selbst sehr nehmen in der erste Tag so immer doch push and so the playing in the Jacks das know what they can on get it macht ja ganz süß zu sehen and that's the overshare of Alex that no but that's it you sure much that was not going to be giving him the same name of the snake that's in the objects so that's so see playing in the rest no observe your it's no one it was kills because the keeps there for the mark so cool caps are feel those playing caps are nicht so was wenn man ich was mit playing like das etwas nach das jo sind ein fett
dan als je mij tegen de fles ook dan is dat als je niet met de recast en de mag ja heel serious here very every you seller was er hier is er ook niet super plus we're snarl so near in the one and make it sure Swahili rumor on also and me feel what was off a see that the Eagles girl a rumor on also people and everything those that's ook if you know you can't get people that's not very not getting ours no guess
stehen ist der jetzt noch viel so ich habe nach Deutsch so viel Funktion also müssen das ist nicht wirklich hier bin ich das so ein erst habe ich nicht auf dem Schiff das auch hier bis also nicht nach oben extra wieder gegangen nicht weit noch jetzt das nervt der das ist nicht das was mir gibt's nur das ist ein Englisch nervt das wird der Lidin nicht der weiß noch ist jetzt und ja lässt die herum mit dem das nicht gesehen hey
there stand up off not as much closing it then that ups in your leaf and like nick nas no like matching I'm missing on the year first no meter and I know it's still as up seller for song lips no and if we was new killer on and ours and not fucking no then En heel keer ja, with the beams the external fish got this file met the feels it by hours in there just not see that will limit long extent. You know, I can sit here, security help, but even a deal box nurse, no, I need a girl to that. Wow, sitting in there, I'll see dismiss the kid. That brace the less of her gift, but the door from my fine night. Yes, I should imagine I'm sitting just in the sheet, the other side, I just need to see if that's the worst of and now, what's such that's some money did I say, and then this the healer, so the white food me on it. These sneaky. The last is the door from the sheet, a little wish. Healer wrestle what I.
Och så är det också just något verkligt sitt bästa det är inget stöksar för den där väldigt så vet det väl är så det är så det är inget med några stöksar på när det den måste väl se inga det är så så men nog är det knäs så det är så så med exen det relax det should not see your more feel easier just in no of the thing as over to så så det är det väl en get you see he was so shit but i bursting out så det Nurse the fun it's still very lucky they just was here but nurse the must have big no I can plus the never saying or them and if the will be not got and she's walk on us and you'll see that so just nearly that so he was and they have me look up the nurse that helps them I guess the neck I'm kind of going on either wrist no nothing if you're actually can work I'm not actually all whether you passing on that either was it either the doctors can actually what we can go let's say so make men hur kan jag se hela mesnit sättning just för att något ut när det är singel ich sin då sit was att han det med lyx det är med det fina men så att den är steg fuck it is just like you
my mere we what I'm Aeronor did I smell the ups and hills so that's in also I get us very slick you're the fina and the newest fun is that deal for see if there and the single arrow from the wheels is equals gas. And now large sin not the girl would have missed the mouth give her but that I'm not in the back in the skies this is not seeing it hit or snake out my hollow weeks of imagine it I said never skim single look the one. Oh, what a smacker girl that did a biggest fire who's not yeah when it up my like in ship and it's all guy.
Alles där då schiffen är så här med att alla så fast där ingen nå vi nu än i alla så där har stopp så är present i alla så ni där när i så är sen schiffen eller ni ser om men när alla fast när jag så fyra till att jag med måste ja men jag ser det att alla så den är det till jag vill räcka i då när nå vi har det inga så när vi får se vad Louis får se jag så där inte kan ju vara så när and I got just in our cabinet and the fast near me else and I can get me as get it help me days you get the gear at first today
Snell so it looks like lost this life is innocent. The more I can get your nest and then that's the older walk so it's watching air for that. Hurry, strong, and it's a sheller, just a little posse get most. And I'm on my race and you'll and I run the super pristine. He was fine, I'm not whacking it as last week. Never did see me down as a eater was it, and there's Nesser for the hot on see that they're seeking the little crowd in the cellar. They're skimmery, that's it. Yeah, that's not wheel was off sale. Oh, so they're meeting the works and I need cash. Sister, our medicine errors.
Just I know we are sending it must have in our snit about my hopes their own, but see, this you seen that need was some sure as the thing is, yeah, whatever. I'm letting your feeling face to me. Inget kastigt min boom bullet eller apps I vet not för den norr köp eller det nästa inget det så det är vi resa sen inget för det där was tax and I'm out seeing the single because no week was faces you nej
So that name that's now my reading funded exhaustion XFN. For that get me being me weeks so this should mad little light the feet goes and there it's it hello when they're host. Oh I pop the listener the thing that was a little fresh and see if it's salary but that's enough. Schneemad negative Christmas holy missionary if this hour in not see when else other there so absolutely cost. Now scaster it's my rushing that's for but no snail so oh, not much hours to snaps in your cellar. Girl, for slow, I don't know either. Just got cellar, prefer if for some with popping my that. There's a mystery, snap or him seeing that. Sitting now, hopping in the mistake, there's a mistake. Sver, eller sitt där snöing maps nilskes the rehinordning is open the she.
Generous om jag ingen ambition att sylt eller stand over here som jag snörs det så att jag ingen solo bevarning av för den eruption av det säkert man kan på snörs det inte så ut på att sätta ner nå eller snörs det den syd och no för hit den inte så och och ändå väl det här så där så man så det är ingen besi ja vi exen över offices and they middle work position use station and earth gips and those då and så den ena direction med görs sen inte we always the markets and with the little station all that's the national it was more for the PS here it's like seller but I'm not good naps yeah guys det kan vara så det är
He didn't grow up in a snapping it. No, this name is giving it absorb with across the arms, technical. First defending you with banana trail work for all what had opposition. No, far across this guy, and she's never the game did. Well, so I would offer trail with far across. So we can.
Yes, no, I don't miss like that. Yes, no, they are because nicht auch alle das ja. Like the music goes is not also the store that's new yelling is will me host some after any and this new will the yeah then the cups makes the stock well that's goes there and March here the
National leader frail girls every member so we go there past and then also he goes snack tricks me missing over the west vessel well we have nipsy that's an imri even in the philosophy getting this one yes many him sit it's or that see this now it must know she but I see plus may see your free and I'll with this north thing it I'm having him rather than or say the band yeah healer self knitted plus how up never lean off nasty enough so we salary for so get out a miss
net marschen das was ihr müsst wel neu hier schon bei ja march here that will you see any open side is jammer voor wie dus nou goed het ligt was meer get me musically den caps and mega beat was meer get så det sa på för mig det men det är så väl mal tjejer jag än det jag vill revensi över den kan bli jag vill chassis så långt mer gör faktiskt nu måste jag hinna nog det vill se så uppskrissen så att nej kan nog köra det nu vill jag så säg
the shield pops is need I this Herbie is slow to be military. Hello, the Herbie is very salary. It's a snake. Hey, citizen gives it a finale. Unhearable that era. That's the next dream of non woman maker feet goes sister very salary. May see get like you were the nerf no shoot happy he's an ass. He'd have been on looks away.
Seit mai ist noch was nehmen mich das noch morgen aus da dem Sega gerade da noch was mir jetzt noch posten noch dem Sanga kim stars hobst na sie gehen nicht noch mit hast du das lori was ja das ist sie was ich hatte müssen nicht noch so morgen was oh wenn da ja so hin wird nicht gebraucht ne ich mach was jetzt noch mit so muss oh ja schon nie das da ich noch was was schnell mal noch